This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening. It is 6:15, so we're going to get our meeting of December 12th underway with a roll call of the council. Mr. Way, here. Mr. Mihan, Mrs. Abernathy, and Mr. Hardy.
Here.
All right. We would all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the approval of the November 7th meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the November 7th.
I'll second that.
Any corrections or additions? Call and vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the November 14th meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve the November 14th meeting minutes as written.
Will you two turn on your mic? Sorry. It makes us easier to find our seconds later. Any corrections or additions? All right, call and vote, Mr. Nino.
Aye.
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 All right, department reports.
Good evening. Karen Katchu, Madison Valley Public Library. So I didn't turn in a monthly report. I just gave you a copy of our yearly stats. In lieu of that, I thought I'd go over that with you real quick. I have a few extra copies. Okay, so this is from the fiscal year. I report out at the calendar year. It just makes more sense to people when we do it that way. But just as a summary, and these aren't all of our stats. These are just a cross section of interesting things about our library. So over 50,000 people walked through our doors last fiscal year. If you break that down, it's about 20 visits per open hour. It never really works out that way. It's usually feast or famine, as you well know if you have a storefront. So in programming, 9,300 people attended programs, either of our own or community meetings. But when you break that out, it's over 700 people a month. It's heavily used. We had over 37,000 checkouts, and that's physical checkouts. Over 13,000 people visited the library virtually to check something out. And so as a conservative estimate of just physical items, if you were to calculate a return on investment, that's $741,980, and that is a conservative estimate. Most of our items are $35 or more that we purchase for lending or checkout. So moving down, 2,897 people used our computers last year. I think that number is probably low. We forget to track those sometimes when we get busy. 8,300 people used our Wi-Fi. That number grows significantly every year. Over 2,000 one-on-one technology assistance sessions. And what that means is anywhere from cell phone help, computer help, people working on resumes, whatever it is on the computer or with technology. That's sessions that we help people with. And 6,500 reference questions answered, and that's about anything. It could be about restaurants in town, it could be about research in the valley, it could be about anything. Just a little tidbit, we lent our items across the state, and we lend our books across the nation 713 times and brought in over 1,000 items upon request. And the final box on the bottom, the finances. So this is operating revenue. This is with the exception of 2 e-resource subscriptions. This is salary and facilities. So the total operating revenue, there's a breakdown there: Madison County, Town of Ennis, State of Montana, and the Women's Club. So we get a donation from Madison Valley Women's Club every month to purchase books and some other items. And then for programming, educational, authors, technology, that's what we fundraise for through the Friends of the Library. So that's not included in this number. Any questions?
These numbers look great. Where are they in comparison to last year? Are
They're
you
about
trending up, trending?
We're about
down?
25% over last year. Yeah.
These numbers are really great. Interesting to see the Wi-Fi usage
Mhm.
and the computer usage. Do you receive any grant money at all?
No, so there is a small grant available for internet costs. It's called E-rate. I didn't apply this year. I will look into it next year. I chose not to apply for it this year because the cost of it is a federal grant, and the cost of administering that grant exceeded the actual amount we would get, so I declined this year. But no, we don't get any grant money for operating revenue. Yeah.
If you'd like any help with E-rate, if you could let me know.
Thank you.
I do it for schools all over the country and libraries.
I'll take you
So
up on that.
I'd be
Thank
more than
you.
happy to help you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you.
What are your hours for the next winter, for the winter?
So our hours are consistent through the winter. We're open 9 to 5 Monday, 9 to 6 Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 to 5 Thursday, Friday, and 10 to 2 on Saturdays.
Do you keep a breakdown of the tourist season, so as opposed to non-tourist season?
We do. Yes. And those numbers, those numbers double and triple during the summer months. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. A lot of summer residents come back, as well as just because of our real estate, we get a lot of foot traffic. Yep.
Are you under contract with DIS for IT?
We are under contract starting. We started this month, and I put them to task the last 2 days. I have to say they were great. I had a couple issues that were sitting there for a few days. I left it for them, and just they deal with Microsoft a lot, which we use Microsoft Suite products, and they were able to fix some bugs really easily. And they also offered us some options that I wasn't aware of, just because we have public computers and almost 3,000 people come in to use them per year. So we have some unique issues that come up that they were able to solve for us. So on the first week, I'm pretty darn happy. It saved me hours of work this week, which is I appreciate. Yeah.
Just one more question.
Yeah.
Because you have so much usage with the internet, Wi-Fi, and with computers, do you also have printers that are available to people to print on?
We
Do
do.
you keep track of that as well?
Yep, we do keep track of that also. We have a lease, a copy scan fax printer lease from Fisher's that the Friends of the Library pay for. That doesn't come out of our operating funds. And that gets quite a lot of use. We help people. I think, faxing for some reason perplexes people that it's still a thing, and that we're one of the few places in town that have a fax machine for public use. So it gets used a lot, and we do keep track of those numbers.
And is it faxing over internet or is it faxing over a telephone line?
Telephone line. Yep, scanning over the internet.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have John's law enforcement report, written report. Any questions for him? They need to pose or clarification? Okay. Susie, you can do yours from there. And we'll go back and see if Eric's online.
So I've been working on a conditional use permit for 121 West Main Street. We had the planning board last Tuesday. It's continued until Monday. So you will not be hearing that tonight in front of the council. And then a conditional use permit for 111 East Main Street. You do not have that one yet. It maybe will be ready by January. We're hoping. Forrest is actually working on it also. I finished up with the GIS. We have the new boundary map. I do have it in my office. It's not up yet, but it's not laminated because their laminator was broke. So I'm not real sure what to do about that. Maybe take it to Bozeman. Done some sign compliance for court. I did the end of the month. I've been scanning in the warrant file into the computer. And the site pay we were working on is now active. And that's pretty much it.
So will you expand on the GIS on our boundaries map?
Well, that was a file that I've been working on for a long time, and we had to update it. I think I told you about it earlier. And so between all of the properties have either been fixed or a solution as to why they weren't in the map. And so that's pretty much it. They still have a few questions with just addressing questions. It doesn't have relative to the map. So it's been a long time coming now, the map, for sure.
So, and with the map, remember when Eric purchased the overlay mapping system, the Diamond system, we can now overlay that file onto that system as well. And Lucas has been working on all of the water mapping and sewer mapping in that program. And as soon as we have that complete, we can send it to the county, and then the county sends it to the state library, and it should be, so it's archived in multiple locations. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it's a good process to have completed, actually.
Does it show the Armitage Alley going all the way to the river? I was looking at your map, the old map.
Yeah.
Back there the other day.
It does, the old map.
No, the new one. No. The boundaries.
I will have to double check that. I don't know if I specifically have tuned in on that, but I will.
Okay. So we'll put that on the double check.
Definitely. I can draw that little addition in if I have to.
I almost did.
Now, Eric, are you online?
I am. How are you guys?
Your report?
Good.
Well, thank you.
All right, ready for your report.
So I don't have much more than what's in my report. It's been quite a busy month, but we're getting through it. As far as if the boundary's on there or not, if it's not, you can easily with diamond maps just put that boundary right in there. Change any of that. You know, it's pretty cool little mapping system.
You want to give us your rundown of the month? The
So
exciting news?
as far as the water, yeah, you know, that turned into another Ennis. What the heck, you know, that initially, I don't know. I'll just start from the beginning. That started out with what should have been a water main in the beginning was, I'm guessing when the, and this is a guess, I don't know when that got put in, but I'm guessing when the rest area was put in, that they hooked onto that and just glued just regular white PVC pipe all the way down to it. And by today's standards, that has to be a main because of the number of services on that line. And that's what that all turned into and why it had to get upgraded. But, you know, we've been holding steady at the drawdown test at that 1.6 for a few fixes. But after this one, that dropped to 9 inches. So this really helped. I know it's a big mess, but it really cut our water loss at, you know, almost in half. So it's good and bad that happens, you know. Um,
So if you all
we were
remember from our PER, we had significant loss reported. And so one of our goals last year when we were doing it was to see if we had gained anything on the repairs we'd made thus far. And we'd had some gain, but not a lot. So with this last repair, we've taken our pump time. Eric, it was 8 hours last November, and we're down to 3 hours now, correct?
we've cut everything in half. So I think it was around 6 at this time last year.
Okay.
We're just at 3 now, and that's only in the daytime too. So, you know, that means by 9 o'clock at night, our pumps aren't running until around 7 they start. So it has helped a lot. It was unfortunate that happened. I mean, definitely
But in real
wasn't.
numbers, what you gave me a calculation today on where our loss per day still is.
Our
So we
loss per
figured,
day is still at, it's, we're still really high, but if you figure about cutting it in half, you know, 80,000 gallons in 24 hours right now is what our tank in our system is leaking. You know, I think it's important to know that that's a different test than like water loss test versus sold and pumped, you know, and that's a hard test to really get a hold of right now with old meters. But this is just kind of what your system is leaking. That's why we do it at night when most people are in bed, and optimally in the winter when sprinklers aren't going and all that.
So we'll take our new drawdown data and send it to Great West, and they will
Yeah,
update.
I talked to him yesterday and he has that, so he's going to update that on our PERS. I talked to him a couple days ago, and just to make sure that I was actually pretty surprised that that number dropped that much. So I called him to make sure that that was the information I gave him last time, and it actually was. So, it turns out that gluing pipe together is not a good idea for a water system, especially that's the end of town and that's where your highest pressure is going to be. When I had the leak detector there, I mean, he was just finding them everywhere. It was kind of a nightmare.
So do you predict, so our former estimate was 45% water loss. Are you suggesting that we're down to 22%?
I'm not. So I can probably email you. I mean, water loss. This is called a drawdown test. It's a different water loss when you're talking about loss. That's the loss between what you pump and what you sell in town, and that optimally should be around 15%. But when you look at percentage wise of the leakage in town, we're right at 15% now, which I don't think is bad, but it's not very good. That's still 80,000 gallons in 24 hours. We shouldn't be leaking that much, but we're whittling away on it. We definitely are making a lot of headway.
Yeah, that's more, so you put that it's an industry standard, but it's more, I'd say an acceptable standard, maybe by Montana standards, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it is actually, when you're talking water systems, that's your number that you want to get to 10 to 15%. And
And the next piece that's reducing that number is the new meters, because there's a
yeah,
lot of old meters that were out that aren't accurate. So we're not billing what's going out because the meters aren't working.
old meters, when they get old, actually give water away, is
So
what I've always been told.
so we're working on
That
that
kind
part too. But we'll get the updated PER, and once that's done, I'll get a copy for file so that and that'll tie you into later when we're talking about stuff. All right, anything else for Eric?
Yeah, just one question. Eric, do you have a timeline as to how we can draw down the leakage, or have you scoped that out, put it into some type of strategic plan?
well, we're going to have to. I mean, but I think the first start is getting new water meters in town. That way we know exactly where we're at and exactly what we need. And again, we do leak detection throughout this whole town. I do it every 2 years. I mean, because nothing surfaces in town. I mean, we are actively seeking these leaks out. But from now on, we are going to have to institute some kind of a plan to find, fix them, and we're going to have to plan this out because it's just been kind of a melee here lately, and it's not working out. I mean, it's working out, but I feel like it could get a lot more organized. So I've been talking with Joel about this, but we're he and I are both kind of in agreements. Like we need to get meters in town that are actually making sense. And
And do
we're
you have a cost
pretty.
associated with that, Eric? Eric, do you have a cost for replacing the meters? Because I
We
think
have
without replacing the meters, you're never going to be able to fully understand what level of leakage you have.
Do you want me to
so
step into
we,
that one?
no, it's fine. We have a grant already. We are about to purchase close to 300 water meters, and that's a that's a reimbursed grant. So the grant was for 83,000, and we are matching 25%. I think it was turns out to like 26,000. But we have to pay all that up front, and as soon as the invoice from the meters comes in, then they'll reimburse that. And we're just a couple pieces of paperwork away from making that happen, and approval and all that. Um, as far as
And
the
do you,
rest of them, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna keep looking for more grants. I'm gonna keep looking for more ways to get this done in a quick way. It's
and what is the total number of meters in the town? You know,
We have a total number of 700 and a little over 700, 728, I think. We already have 250 new in, so we're going to get these in. And basically, what it's going to leave us with is the bigger meters in town, which are really going to cost more. So I'm going to have to do some looking around and seeing what we can do about that because those are more expensive meters.
This we're
Commercial
75%
meters,
of the way there.
1 inch
That's what
size
we figured.
meters, and stuff like that. I don't, I don't know the exact number that'll leave, but it's not going to be much. I think I figured it out to around 200. That'll leave left.
are they connected through mobile data or,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and
so they're
that's
communicating through SIM cards?
And that was part
not
of the other
not SIM
overall goal because
cards.
it
They're
usually.
radio reads.
Yep.
They're just a radio read. It's not a SIM card, but and that in itself is going to save us 3 days a month too. It's just going to be just get us back into this, where we can actually start attacking all these really well, figuring out where our problem is. And with these newer meters, we'll be able to find out exactly where our problem is. It's going to help a lot.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate
But
it.
I think that's got to be our next big first step. All these fixes that have been happening have been emergencies. It's not like we've had time to sit down and plan these out because I really wish we would have. But I really wish we would have. But I think now's the time to actually get down, make a plan, start following our PER list, get these down. And I don't know. I think we're going in a really good direction. I know how expensive it's getting, and that I've lost a lot of sleep over that. But we've actually done a lot of work in town here, and it's been beneficial, very beneficial. I feel like we're knocking that down really good. This was this one, although unpleasant, was really pleasant supplies as to what the drawdown test came back at. I would have never even thought to look for a leak down in that area, but I would never knew that there was just plumbing pipe glued together either. You know,
What's the pressure at the end of the line, Eric?
So down there is going to be the highest pressure in town. You're right around 100 pounds. Whereas up on, say, the upper part of Ennis, you're right around 85. I'm surprised it actually held out that long, to be honest with you. However long it was put in, that surprises me. Because it's just glued together, like you glue your plumbing pipe.
Mhm.
Eric, I asked Susie this question earlier this week, and I'm going to ask you. I don't expect an answer, though, but just maybe more so for you to be thinking about
Okay.
the upcoming growth policy. Um, just your boots on the ground, and you know all of the problems in town. And so I guess to solve these problems, this growth policy, aka master plan, aka
Strategic.
strategic
Build out
plan.
plan. Yep.
Like I would ask you to make a list or a wish list of items that you want fixed here in town, or that we can
Okay.
bring them up to whoever our engineering firm is going to end up being, so they can, they need to know these things too, because they're going to help us create this working document that we can reference for stuff that needs to be fixed in town.
All right. Cool. No, yeah, I'll be happy to. But like, what kind of problems are you looking for? Are you? I'm not saying that to be. I'm not saying it that way. I'm just because
Can I
man, I
just
could give
jump in?
you.
I think,
Yeah.
Eric,
Yeah.
a current deficiency plan would be helpful, right? And then ways that we would go about mitigating those. And then on top of that, plans for how we would actually be able to plan for the future growth and to make sure that we don't exacerbate the current problems.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that fair,
I'll be.
Corey?
And one last question: do we have a water truck?
No. What do you need a water truck? We can throw we do have a big water tank that we can throw in our red truck and drive around and water
Perfect. Yeah,
trees.
that
I
was
guess that's what you're saying.
yeah, basically just a
We can
question that was asked at the tree board meeting the other day.
we can make that happen. We can throw a big water tank. We have 500-gallon water tanks that we can just throw in the back there for the day and strap down and go do what we got to do.
Does that make
Cool.
sense?
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, on to clerks. Ginger was unable to make it. She was ill right before the meeting. So Brenna, you can kind of give us yours and then go through whatever else. I know. Oh. No, Susie can share.
Was mine submitted as well?
In the drive?
Yeah.
I think so.
Were you guys able to take a look at it? Did you guys have any questions then?
Where are we on the first quarter financials? Do you know that?
I do not know that right off the top. Have not been included in that fully, if anything. So I would not be able to answer that, unfortunately.
So in that, our annual financial report is due, and we prioritize that with Norm that used to be part of Olness is still doing the financial report. That has to be done end of this month. And so we'll have the first quarter, first half all together at the same time. And should have the annual financial report. I don't know if it'll be finalized by January, but it should be. Okay. And then with that, we're still trying to get Jody down. We're looking at our budget right now to see how much we have available and which way is going to be financially more feasible to either send Ginger up to Helena to go sit with Trevor, or if it's going to be reasonable to have Jody Rogers and Jody Campbell, which is our ideal situation, down for a week to go through a faster way of cash reconciliation and then a cross training section with Brenna. So Jody and Jody were out again, so we've been playing phone tag with them. They work for the league, and I think they haven't officially released it yet, but Darla Erickson, she used to work for the State Department, the financial division, and she was Trevor's boss, who we've been working with on our last audit findings. Anyway, the league just hired her, so she will be moving to the league as an additional clerk, accountant, financial, budgeting expert to help all the towns. So there are going to be more resources available. So we're still hoping in January we have the contract for Jody and Jody to come down for the week. Or if 2 days is going to be enough, or 3 to make it work. And if not, then we're going to make plans for Ginger to just go see Trevor for 2 days in Helena. Their offices they're not moved into yet, but we're just going to have to make it work. She said there's a place where she can stay up there so we don't have to do hotels, so it'll be cheaper that way. I know, that's what we want to do. So we're trying to get the final number from Jody on what that's going to be, and the contract from Thomas before legislation gets going, because I'm sure he's going to be up there for most of it. So that's where that's at. Anything else?
What did you think of our ranking for the MSEP?
Our ranking of it?
Yeah. Number 26 out of 33.
I don't have an opinion on that, I would have to say, honestly. As of right now, I was still new in all the feelings of that kind of thing. But it intrigued me. I liked looking at it for sure. Definitely liked looking into it, getting into it for sure, and learning about it.
So we'll go through that too. That's in my report and what I found there. Anything else for Brenna? Thank you. All right, claims.
Were we sent some more today?
Just 2 pages. Well, Commissioner always said that it wouldn't open on his
Yeah, mine opened.
drive.
I
And
couldn't
wouldn't
see
go-
more than the first page.
Wouldn't go through more than the first
Right.
page.
I had that problem too,
Yours did too?
but it finally loaded. It took a while. It just takes a time.
Oh, yeah, I looked and I kept trying to scroll down and it wouldn't. I'd close it and try again.
Okay.
It just took a long time to download.
Any word from DEQ on how much they're gonna pay of our $79,000 one?
Eric, you received a phone call from Letitia this afternoon, correct?
Right. So that bill is ours. They are paying roughly $67,000 of the soil removal. That was 240 yards that had to be moved out of there. And they also helped out with the ductile iron pipe that had to be used because of the fuel in that area.
So you're saying they've already paid what they're going to be paying for?
They're going to be paid for. That bill we have is ours.
Our portion of it. So when we calculated that out, it came to, what did we say, $178 a foot. And when Joel from Great West was here for Maine, he said installation for Maine, when we were talking about well sites, and the farther you get away from your tower, the worse you are off, because Maine is 200 to 220 a foot for installation currently. So
And what was ours again? What did you?
178. We put in 434 feet of main.
It's 182.
180. So under our current going rate for installation.
Was that including Northwest Pipe Fittings, $1,540? And are there any more subs?
Subs.
Subcontractors.
No. Northwest pipe fitting, the 1,500 was the Neptune upgrade.
It was the what?
The Neptune upgrade. We just upgraded that to where we're actually able to just drive around town and collect the meter readings by driving. And then that was the software upgrade actually is what, and also training between Brenna and Black Mountain and Neptune. They've all been back and forth getting this all straightened out so that it's working the way it should be. Which that seemed to be working pretty good. We had a couple little snags, but we're able to get through that pretty easily.
Any other questions on claims? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve claims.
Second.
All right. Where are we at? Abernathy.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Public comment on non-agenda items.
Myron Walmo, resident of Town of Ennis. I'd like to address the purpose of this agenda item entitled Public Comments. Due to the reluctance from the executive branch of this governing body to be bothered with concerns of the residents, I will in the future be addressing the legislative branch, the town commissioners of this governing branch. Hopefully this will be in turn cause some discussion and action being placed on unscheduled matters for the following meeting. After viewing numerous agenda items fall off by the wayside, maybe it would be a good time to address the town of Ennis health insurance plans for the employees. I personally have never heard of any entity offering 100% for the employee and family and have the resident taxpayers foot the bill. Being a resident on fixed income, I pay for my household health insurance. And then to tag a town of Ennis budget cost of over $200,000 per year placed on residents' taxes is totally ludicrous. The best that I've ever had through employment in my over 60 years of being in the workforce has been 80%, and family of the employees add on at the percentage provided by the employer at usually 50%. Now, hopefully, if this agenda item is getting discussed now, maybe it will be ratified by the deadline of July 1, 2025. That being said, numerous residents of the town of Ennis and Madison Valley know that I attend commission meetings on a regular basis. An issue came up, so I compiled this from the November incident report of the Ennis Police Department that shows out of 37 calls, 11 were handled by the EPD with 4 assists, and the Sheriff's Office handling 22 calls with 4 assists. Now that seems that the Sheriff's Department is handling their part in the law enforcement, but where's the EPD? Very interesting to say, at the least, but cause for concern. Thank you.
Second call for public comment on non-agenda items. All right, last call for public comment on non-agenda items. Closing public comment on non-agenda items. Unfinished business, Madison County Sheriff's Office agreement. Ed Guza is available. Our town attorney is in the county, which is going to be nice, on Tuesday the 17th. The committee is scheduled to meet with him at 10 a.m. And IT, I got a hold of DIS. Their on-site specialist is available December 30th, and he will be here to go through all departments and what they can and cannot do on that date. Do we have anything else in there? Good with those? That's
December
pretty much,
30th, so January, you'll have information on that for us.
yep, the committee will give update.
Did we find out if the IT, is that a department or not? 'Cause I know you-
IT is not a department. It is an employee,
So it's not a department.
so it's not a department. Because its supervisors are the department heads.
So EPD is a department?
Ennis Police Department is a department. The library is a department. Zoning is a department. Public Works is a department.
Right. But you said it was because the supervisor.
The IT employees, supervisors are the department heads as it's written. Does that make sense? How else do you put that? That makes sense.
It's an employee because it doesn't serve, it does not serve anyone except the employees of of the town hall.
The
So
IT
you're-
department of the town certainly serves more than just the employees of this town.
The employees of town hall. The IT department keeps their computers up, keeps their communications running, has nothing, it helps no one outside of this building.
What Ed was looking for me to research was that at any point had there been a resolution from the town council forming IT as a department. And the answer is none that I could find anywhere. So that was our definition of. So originally it was a contract, from what I had found, that Officer Moore was contracted separately first, and several mayors ago, as in almost, where are we at? 3, 4, 7, 9. 9.5 years ago, that mayor moved it to an employee position. That is what I have found, but I have not found any other hard resolutions or anything else.
Did the mayor have the authority to?
That's the next question.
Yeah, to do that.
And then after 9.5 years, how does that all play out? So.
Well, we just have to follow the rules as written.
So from here, we still evaluate what we can and cannot do, and still on my hunt for information from Ed. He's going to end up with more than just sheriff's office discussion. There's going to be a lot. I was happy with Ed's bill this month. I have had a lot more for Ed for the next section. We have to look at easements. We have to look at some land purchase. I'll go through all that in my report. So there's actually a ton of Ed right now. And he's been sending me on missions for hunting down information. So keeping up with trying to find what the attorney wants to make opinions and decisions. So that is what I know. All right, 2 scheduled matters. We have had one more letter of interest. Would you like to step up to the mic for your grilling?
I don't know if you were going to read the letter, or I didn't
Well,
have a copy of it with me, or if you just want to.
Nope, we've always started with why don't you introduce yourself,
Okay.
and then we'll open the floor to public questions.
Was that letter in our packet? Oh,
The
okay.
email?
Was it an email? I didn't.
Maybe I didn't.
If I missed it,
So one wasn't in the packet.
Because I must have missed an email in all my packet sending.
let's see. I don't see it. Did anybody see it?
I don't.
If not, I can pull it up on my phone and read it to you. But I can pretty much tell you what it says also. So either way.
Why don't you start with an introduction?
Okay. Well, my name is Stephanie Selly. I am, just to give you a little bit about me, I'm 56 years old. I'm from the fine state of Georgia. I moved here to Montana a little over 3.5 years ago. I purchased what most people call the old North 40 building, which is down on the highway on 287, just past Sure Shot, where the big 3-story condos are. I'm right, the little barn-looking place right on the corner. My background is I've been a business owner most all of my life. My husband and I have been in general construction for the last 38 years. We are licensed general contractors in the state of Georgia. We own and have a truss manufacturing plant. So that's, 20 plus years old. We opened that in April of 2002. We have 2 children. Our son and daughter-in-law live here, and they have a business over in Virginia City and 1 little girl. Our other daughter moved here, and that's how we got here. She met a gentleman from Georgia who was living in Harrison, and he owned Bozeman Fence. They got married last December, and they moved back to Georgia and left mom and daddy out here. It turned out there's about 30 of us from Georgia that I can think of, that's even from my small little hometown. down in southeast Georgia that live out here. So it's a very small area that I came from in rural Georgia, very similar to Ennis. And I spent 30 years there. And then I moved to North Georgia, and that's a little town called Ellijay, up above Atlanta. It was a second home community when we moved there back in '98, and it began to grow, and it grew very much like Ennis is going to grow. And we dealt with problems with infrastructure and growth and a second home community. And as it became a first home community to many people, and the town began to go from just a weekender type thing to a metropolis of Atlanta. We got a phone call back in 2006, asked us if we'd build a winery and tasting room. After that, there became a second winery and a third and a fourth, and that brought in tourists, and it became kind of a little Napa Valley of North Georgia. So this little leaf-looking town that got people just in the fall began to have people coming year-round, and we saw a lot of growth. So I think that I can help. I kept watching the town videos. I've been doing that since I moved here. And I saw y'all were needing help. And I kept thinking somebody would volunteer. And I saw you volunteer. And then I was in Arizona and I was thinking about it. And I heard you. And I thought they'll fill it by the time I get back to Montana. And they didn't anybody else suck her up. So I thought, well, I will offer my services. I feel like that I can help, and I'd be glad to answer any of your questions.
Shall we start with the room?
Do you live here year round?
I do live here year round.
In the house?
Correct.
I'm supposed to do the thing.
When we first moved here, we thought that because we do have our businesses, some back in Georgia, and we've got a couple here in the Madison Valley, and I thought that we would be maybe going back and forth more than we did. But we really like it here. We enjoy it here. And we had a condo in Arizona, so we snowbirded there one winter, and we tried it the other winters here. And we decided we just like it, you know, so we're full time.
Any other questions? All right, go back to the seat. Okay, questions from the commission?
What's the first thing you'd change about Ennis?
Well, I was saying earlier, to quote John Dutton, I'm not a big fan of change myself. I like the small rural town. I like knowing everybody and being related to everybody. I like knowing that my UPS or FedEx driver will, you know where he's bringing his package to, and that I can say hello to him and know him by face, and I enjoy that. But it's just not practical to believe that that's going to continue to happen. We're all going to populate, town is going to grow, and it is already growing. New interest in it, such as not only the tourism that's here, but the movie industry and, you know, things like that. They'll come and go. They always have. I mean, from like the river runs through it. I mean, that didn't bring people to stay forever in that town change, but it will change as the town grows. I've seen a lot of growth this whole North 40 just since we've been here. I remember when the first set of trusses were brought in, because we do have a truss manufacturing plant, so it caught my attention. And all those houses back here developed behind us in the matter of the 3.5 years. So I know the growth is coming. It's just a matter do I want to help contribute to the growth and be constructive in what we're going to end up with, or do I want to be one that sits back and complains because I didn't volunteer or help, and there's something I don't like that I may have participated and helped with. So I like it like it is, but your economic housing, affordable housing, is a problem in Georgia. It's a problem in Montana. To be honest, I don't know how a child that, let's say she gets out of school as a nurse, he works at the bank. How do they afford a $500,000 to $700,000 house? I mean, it's just not even feasible. In my day, grandma and grandpa either passed away, or you got a little camper or trailer. Back then, you could get in South Georgia trailers, and then it was renting apartments. I believe apartments are going to be where you're going to have to go in this growth change. But it's going to be up to you guys to be able to determine where those apartments are going to go, what they're going to look like, and aesthetically how they can work. Because if you look at townhouses, that's a lot more expensive than an apartment. Think of where you moved and where you lived when you got out of college in your first home. What could you afford? And really, it would be something similar to apartments. If it's not me that's going to do this, someone else is going to do it. Now, I'm out of construction. I'm semi-retired now, and I don't plan on building or doing anything in the county, just to let you know. But I do want to help, and I do see that this growth is coming. And so, with your infrastructure, that's a big challenge. People to cooperate, that's another big challenge, and to work together, but it can be done. And my husband was the president for the Tri-County Builders Association. We've worked with planning and zoning. We've developed land and done tertiary permits and things like that. So I've got a background I feel like that I can help maybe with this growth. And I think that that's a challenge for a lot of people right now is how are you going to keep this town the same and look the same, but fit the need for these new constructions or these, teachers that come to work here, a nurse that gets stationed here, and they need somewhere to live that's affordable. So affordable housing is a big problem. And I think that's something that's going to have to be looked at because it might be somebody like me or one of y'all that decides to buy a piece of land and you don't know, and then all of a sudden, there's apartments built that you don't even like, and they look tacky or terrible. So at least, I guess I'm hoping that I can help in some way. Did that answer your question? I know it answered a lot probably, but
Yeah.
That was all in the letter. That's why I was kind of hoping it was summarized up shorter, but so yeah.
I probably would only say in response to what you just said, it's interesting. The whole United States, the whole world has been trying to create affordable housing, but to create the concept that's workable. And everyone's gotten it wrong. I'd like to say that someone out there has gotten it right, but no one has the right plan. In Massachusetts, where I come from originally, they have that all projects that are built or all developments that are built, that 10% of all of that needs to be affordable. And the price of those homes can never change. You can't sell that home and actually increase the cost of what you purchased it for.
Yeah.
So it always remains affordable. And therefore, what you're doing is that you're dispersing the 10% all throughout the community through developments. It's an interesting concept, but in some senses that doesn't work either. There is no perfect plan. Each plan has to be specific to a community. So I'm going to go the other way from what Corey did. What is the one thing in town that you wouldn't change absolutely?
That I would change?
Would not change.
Oh, would not. Actually, I thought that you asked kind of what did I like or wouldn't change. So I may have answered kind of that both ways. If you ask one thing I don't like, I'll be honest, I do not like the 3-story buildings. I've heard a lot of complaints about those. And I know right now they've got a problem with them because until they sell 2 in one building and 2 in the other, those pads are going to sit there and they're not going to build. The people that I talked to have said, well, I was interested in maybe buying one. I never looked at it. There's not even an elevator. You pay $650,000 and you don't even get an elevator, And I've watched this through the guy from Sheridan that was originally going to build them. And, like I said, I kind of know what goes on with this type of thing. And but what I do like is the small town. I love the movie theater. I think that's a real classic and nice to have. I like knowing your downtown store owners. I like the Christmas stroll. I like the 100 speed. I enjoy just getting to know people and knowing the people. I worked at the election polls this past year, and there's, like I said, about 30 people from down in Southeast Georgia and North Georgia that live out here. So we began to get some friends, but I have a lot more time on my hands than I did when my children were young. And so that kind of gives you my good and bad about the town, I guess. You know what I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I would ask, so I know you guys have taxes in Georgia.
Mhm.
Can you speak to, I guess, even VRBOs, short-term rental taxes? Yeah. What
Well,
do you
a
guys have
lot
for
of places,
structure?
you know, are not allowing Airbnbs and VRBO, you know, through as they get into the smaller communities. People don't like it because maybe they don't know who they're renting to, or there's parties going on, things like that. Those aren't really the kind of things that you have probably so much going on here in Ennis. But we own a business over in Virginia City. We also have a business over here. Virginia City has a resort tax that we get. I don't think anybody thinks twice when they pay that over there. I do think that's something that maybe, you know, Ennis should look at in the future for things if they need sources.
That's a good answer.
You know,
Oh,
just-
It's only one to hear.
Well, and I will be honest with you. I am open my mouth, and whatever comes out is pretty much the truth. There is not a lot of gray. It's white and black. I'm very honest, and I'm very loyal. I'll do anything in the world for you. Don't lie to me. That's about my only rule. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. We'll work it out. But you know, don't lie to me. But I'm just a straight shooter. That's how I am. And I'm a hustler. I've sold and done public speaking and worked, you know, all my life. Everything we have, nothing was given to us. We worked and earned it all. And we've done everything from flipping houses and starting when you take up tile and put down tile, or put up wallpaper and then take down wallpaper. We've been through the border stage. And I mean, so we could build a house from ground up ourselves. And then we got into hiring subs and building houses and developing subdivisions. And I think that a lot of that's very much like the city, you know, and as far as a business, it runs like a business. So I'm hoping that I can help in some way with that.
I'm good.
No
You answered
questions? Okay. Motion,
So
discussion?
how long have you lived in town for then?
Well, purchased the place in June of 21. So that's a little over 3.5 years. I purchased it from the Vivaviches, I believe was how you pronounce your last
Vivaviches,
name? Yes.
Yeah, I did all the drywall work.
Oh, okay.
People online are trying to speak and they can't get unmuted. Oh. Who's that?
They have a mouse here, and was high school kid. Welcome to come over here.
Yeah, they're trying to say they're trying to speak and they can't. They can't be unmuted.
You mean the ones that are like?
They need to unmute themselves.
Do you, yeah.
They need to
Well, there's
unmute.
an override too.
There is.
There's a moderator override.
Right.
Who, do you know which one?
Is there somebody that called in? Is the person?
One?
Yeah.
Oh, I did mute them, so maybe that's why they can't.
Can you just click the button?
It says pin, keep muted, edit name, and excuse.
Hit the three
Or
buttons up at the top.
Can they
That's
chat
what
in?
that drop down is from.
Oh,
That's why I'm not like this. These are
Sorry.
the buttons.
I don't know if they might be on a phone, so you can't do the chat thing as easy.
Now they should be able to.
Try again, please.
Caller 1, will you try and see if your volume works?
Is Eric still there? Eric, are you able to speak?
Yes, I'm still here, and I can't
Thank you.
speak.
The question was, that you had purchased a house in BC Ranches. And
Correct.
BC Ranches, because that place is on VRBO.
It does have two vacation rental that I run out of there, Airbnb. That's how I know about Airbnbs and how they work. I run 2 out of there.
Okay.
And that's where I
So
still.
you do live there
Yes,
full
and I
time?
also did purchase a place in BC
Okay.
Ranches. So I have both of those.
Okay. All right. That
Yeah.
that was the question from the person.
Yes.
But you reside in town.
Yes. At One Mountain View, which is the location down there.
So we recently had a mass exodus of commissioners.
Yes, I remember.
Why are you not going to do that?
I don't think that's a fair question.
Why would I not do that? Why would I not?
Why would
leave?
you
Why would I
not-
not just
why
leave
are
before
you
1
not
year was
going
up?
to leave?
Before 1 year is up? Is that what you're asking?
Yep.
Well, 1, I don't quit. 2, I'm kind of stubborn. 3, I pretty much say what I think and stand my ground by that. And 4, I was brought to, if you start something, finish it. So unless I die, I guess, y'all have to put up with me for that long.
All right.
So I'd like to go back to the growth, because let's say that 70% of the people who live in Ennis don't want the town to grow anymore. Let's say that they think it's big enough. Let's say they don't want to expand housing. What are your thoughts on that, number one? And number two, how would you actually, or have you experienced in the past, ways to actually squelch building?
Well, all 3 of those I can answer. 1, if everybody in Ennis wanted it to stay the way it was, I've made my money, I've raised my children, I'm okay to live the way it is. So it doesn't have to change for me. I like Ennis just like it is. The part about the growth, I have experienced that, and that will happen whether I like it or you like it or any of us like it. And so we can either participate with it, try to influence it to be the way we would like to see it end up, or we can sit back and have it done for us by someone else. And that's the way that I feel about that. And what was the third part? I think I kind of did 2 and 3 together.
Is there a way to squelch it?
A way to
Is there
squelch
to
it?
control it?
Yes, you actually could do that by limiting the amount of homes that are built on a certain acreage. Georgia has went through and done that in some of its counties. I know the county that we lived in, Gilmer County, did that, where you had to have, say, a minimum of 3 acres in order to build a home on it. They tried to eliminate many houses and a lot of things you would not probably like here in the Madison Valley. Most people that live here kind of like to be able to do their own thing. They don't want to be told what to do. And Georgia would definitely, building inspectors and guidelines, and it's a whole different ballgame. So, but I do like it the way it is. I'm not wanting to change it. But in order to do those kind of things, you can implement those things to slow the growth down. But I think that every time somebody comes out here and supports one of your businesses, one of your storefronts, your hotels, anything like that, that what they're going to do is go back and tell other people. It's going to have growth. Kids that are born here go off, marry, some of them come back, they have children, we all multiply. And, I don't foresee, if you look back into the 1900s, if you go back to the 1800s, I don't think it's going to slow down any. So I think the growth is going to happen whether we like it or not. Like I said, it's just whether we have to influence that growth.
Thank you. Yes, I would ask on top of that, what's your thoughts about urban sprawl?
Can you tell me exactly what you mean by urban sprawl?
I think I'm saying it right. Basically, all of the subdivisions that have popped up all around the town of Ennis?
Well, if I could have my house to look like it was in a magazine, and my life look like it was in a magazine, I would naturally do that. So I would have everything matchy and pretty and coordinated, but that's not life and that's not practical. So all the difference in the variations of houses in the North 40, to give you an example, there's everything from lap siding to vertical siding. You've got stained wood. There's houses on top of houses. There's fences that don't match. I mean, it's a lot put into that one little area. And I think that if you wanted to look like you were in Bozeman and have this beautiful little ornate neighborhood with everything matchy, like I would have liked, and probably done that 20, 30 years ago, if I had been developing a subdivision, it would have been more cookie cutter and matchy. But that's not evidently what Ennis wanted, and that's not what people did, and that's not what they bought and developed. And so that's none of my business as to what they have or how it even got that way. I'm focused on helping, in the future forward. So did that answer your question, or kind of? The I know there's a new subdivision going out of town over on the right. It's got 2 houses in it. Shining Mountains, VC Ranches. We purchased a place in VC Ranches a few months ago. It's beautiful, little area out there. It's the Madison Valley Inn at one time. And so it was divided up in, they could do Airbnb rentals. I think someone told me the other day out of it. The lady did tours in Yellowstone and she brought people back and all. So I love to purchase property, to convert them. I like to start new businesses. I like to help other people get their goals. I didn't have enough children. I only have 2, and they each one have a business that they run. So if I could go out and say, hey, I'd love to start a new business that Ennis needs, I would love to find people that have like-minded interest in things like that and actually help people to reach their goals, to help maybe fund and support those type of things too in the area. I'm just really open to helping, kind of in any way I can. And the houses, I think the subdivisions that they've got right now look nice. I haven't seen a lot going on in the one over on the right going out towards VC. So I think everything got so high and so expensive that nobody can afford. You're in drywall, I believe, correct? Okay. My daughter-in-law's father, that's what he does for a living. If you want to personally take a pay cut on what you make or what you charge, and maybe not get what you're worth, but just, and you take a pay cut. And then we can get the painter to take a pay cut, and the roofer to take a pay cut, and the general contractor to take a pay cut, and the land developer to take a pay cut, the man that sold the land, the guy who puts in the sewer and the septic. We can get everybody to take a pay cut. If we're all willing to do that, then we can get these housing prices down. I'm asking something or saying something that's completely ridiculous. None of you are going to like me or want to have me around if I start talking about pay cuts with anybody. But it's so ridiculous, the pricing right now. I mean, when you're talking about $400 a square foot, the average price for a home in Bozeman is $1 million. A lot of people out here own a second and third home in the county. They don't have just, one. You're either kind of born and raised here and brought up that way and your family's here, or maybe you got money and came here, it seems like. So it's a big diversified area. And I do know that the houses have different, like Troutdale and different little communities and areas have different looks to the homes. But I don't think right now we're going to see a big boom of houses, especially with the new presidency and things changing the way they are. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but again, I do like the way that they're looking. I like the guidelines and things, but I don't know enough about it until I would look into it to answer that.
Sure. Yeah, the reason I ask it, it's like, if our zoning's too restrictive or what have you, it is, people can't achieve their goals in town, and thus they end up moving on the outskirts of town, and that's why you have to have this, kind of I don't know, a harmony of sorts. You have to be able to work with individuals that come into town and want to build things and what have you. You've been
because
contract.
my taste is maybe not your taste. If so, we'd all want to marry the same man or the same woman. I mean, we've all got different personalities and taste, and that's a hard thing. I think, especially for people when they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s, for your ego, and you kind of like what you like and you're stuck in it. And then you get to maybe 50, you say, it's okay. I can deal with that. As long as the person's nice and they're happy and they don't bother me and I'm happy, the world's good. And that's kind of where I'm at, So I do like things to be neat and tidy and clean and look pretty and organized. But I've learned to not control as much since my children are gone and I'm an empty nester more. So, I'm a little easier going than I used to be.
I got one question for you.
Yes.
We talked a lot about the challenges that Ennis has moving forward, and there are plenty of those. Where are the opportunities?
Well, I think that one opportunity is to take individuals who have a talent in the area. They already live here, they're residents, they've got a skill or a talent, they'd like to start a new business. Maybe they're just out of high school, maybe they're out of college, or maybe they're retired. And they need, just to be able to get started. They need someone, maybe a mentorship type program where you can align them with someone. There's several old buildings downtown, that could even be restored and used and utilized, things like that. I think that if we help people to be able to afford to live here, so they don't have to drive to Bozeman, or I heard someone told me, gosh, I remember today or yesterday, like that they drove 2.5 hours anyway. And that's terrible for anybody to have to do that. Mother or father, you're missing out on a lot on your child, in your child's life. So I think if we can make it so that there is more resources in the city of Ennis for people to be able to purchase what they need where they don't have to go other places, that would be good. I think that we can help, maybe, like I said, through the youth or the young people. But we've really got to try to figure out somewhere for these people to live, because that's the biggest thing that I think that the town is running into, that I keep hearing, is where are these people going to live? And it costs them so much to live that they can't afford it, so they can't find a place. And that is, again, back to you, the age-old question of what's the answer? I don't know personally. I don't know it, but, I'm willing to try to help find it.
But I think we all agree that we don't want people to live here, be born here, to be educated here, and then to be forced into a position where they can't afford to be here any longer. The other thing is that you have people, when they get on fixed incomes, that they find themselves in a situation that they can't afford to be taxed out of their community. Mm-hmm. So there are two different dynamics there that weigh heavily on how you actually control and work the housing and the growth of a community, and to do it responsibly. I can tell you from experience that I watched a farm town of 10,000 people grow to 27,000 people in 12 years, and it destroyed the town. Mm-hmm. The town couldn't exist with that heavy of a burden.
Yeah.
And that's not what I think myself or anybody wants to see happen here.
Yeah. And I think it would be terrible for me personally, because I like Ennis the way it is, and that's why we moved here. But I do know that if a town becomes too stagnant, it will die. And that I was born and raised in Southeast Georgia. And if you drive down to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, there's all these beautiful old 1950s and 40s and 30s motels that are just abandoned and sit there now beside the road because the interstate went in a different route and missed them. So it is a hard balance as to saying keeping it the same, but you don't want to have to pay the taxes, and some people can't afford to pay the taxes, and then you've got people who just don't want to pay the taxes, either, and they want to complain about everything. And then you've got the people that, come into town, utilize your town, use your resources, but they do not live here. Their children don't go to school here, they're not here year round. And you want to appease them because they do give a good supply to those local town folks. But then you want to say, okay, y'all go home. Get out of here. We're done with you. And I love that, but that's not always practical. And if y'all had done that to me 3.5 years ago and said, get out of here, go home, I wouldn't be here. So we all came from somewhere to come here. And I do realize that too, that we all are new to the town if we really want to talk about that. So, yeah.
Brittany, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear.
Is your visual good too? Can you still see us?
Yes, I can see. It's just blurry, but I can see.
What do you think about pump tracks and skate parks and the people that frequent those areas?
And those terrible people. Okay, let me tell you about those terrible people. Yeah. It's not so long ago that I do remember being a kid. I do. And I mean, we grew up with roller skates and roller blades and, gosh, what's the one? Skateboards and, stuff like that. We got bruises. We didn't come home till it got dark. Parents didn't go looking for you, until it was dark, that kind of thing. I had an overprotective mother, so she always knew where I was at and older siblings. But kids they've got to have something to do, and I would say it depends upon what the town wants. It's like I said, I'm much easier going now than I used to be. I'm not going to say that just my opinion is right. One thing you'll never hear me say is this is right and that's 100% right and it can't be changed. I hate that theory or attitude. So if there's more people in town that would like the skate park, then I would support that. If more people do not want it, then we'd have to look at that and address that, and see, is it causing a problem for some of the youth? What's the problem? Why don't people want it? Can we maybe resolve it and fix whatever their issue is with it? I don't know. It could be a stigma of the appearance and the look of, say, skater kids, I mean, that's like me, my son, I was stoner mom, and heavy metal mom. And, that's just, I mean, we're all different. If you try to do this conformity cookie cutter stuff, you get into racism and judgmental stuff. And we just need a happy community, loving, friendly, everybody watching everybody else's kids when they go to the skate park and they're down there if they're misbehaving. I'll be like, hey, I know your mama, and I like that type of community. Again, it'll happen sooner or later, so you may as well participate in it.
Any other questions?
I do, but I think we've exhausted.
Okay. You want to have a sit-down coffee section.
So a motion for discussion amongst ourselves, is that?
If that's what you want to do.
I'll make a motion to approve or not approve. Can I do that?
No,
No.
how are you supposed to vote on that?
No.
Okay,
It
I'll make,
either
I'll
has to
make
be
a,
approved and you
sorry.
vote it down or not.
I'll make a motion to approve Stephanie.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Silly.
Selly, to the town council.
Second.
Then could we get some?
I was going to say, and don't worry about it. You will not hurt my feelings. You know, I'm not in it for the money, so I just go
Nobody's
back
in it for the
home
money.
I just go back
Money's
home and
on
watch, TV and chill. So you either get my help or you don't. So but seriously, if you have any questions though, or anything that I can't answer that I haven't, maybe more on a serious, part, I'll be more than glad to talk with any of you or discuss anything with you.
My personal opinion is that we have a lot going on in town. We have a master plan that's been approved a few years ago. We have a growth plan that needs to be developed. You have experience in that area, developing, and I personally think that you would be an asset for helping us to work on whatever growth issues that we may have. So.
So are you saying call the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Call the vote.
Call the vote.
All right.
Yeah, we had a second. Yeah.
Aye.
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 All right, welcome aboard.
No takesy backsies, huh?
No takesies
That's what my son-in-law, my husband told my son-in-law at my daughter's wedding, no takesy backsies. So I guess you're stuck with me now for a year anyway.
Oh, you're not done yet.
The hot water's over here.
We do it all at once. All right. Next. See you to hang out. Oh, sorry, Brenda. Oh, you're good. That's a pile. All right, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Montana, and the Charter of the Town of Ennis. That I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Make me so help me God if you choose.
So help me God. And amen.
All right, you're not done yet. You still have to sign things.
Okay.
See? It's like I'm rehearsed right now. All right, if you could sign right there and print right there. I'll finish the rest of it and file it at the county. You can join in.
Pull up a chair.
Pull up a chair. We'll get you a name placard. All right, the next item on the agenda is the swearing of the oath of office for the local government review committee. Our review committee members were not available to attend this evening, so they are going to be sworn in tomorrow at 9 a.m. If anybody would like to come watch them raise their right hand and take their oath. Brittany Hirsch and Lisa Roberts, since the canvas is complete with the county, are into their training and ready for their swearing of oath.
I'm sorry,
Congrats to both of them.
you said, do we have 3 on the committee?
So I will get that in my mayor's report.
Okay,
I'm on it. I got it.
all right. I thought I missed something.
No, there's 2 right now.
Yeah.
We do have 1 letter
All right.
that didn't show up till Tuesday, so I'll go through that. You've been so patient. Look at it. You guys are good.
Hello.
Way to have me.
He is going to go. I'm going to read something that the Lions Club sent. So my name is Kristen. I'm a local mom. I'm just going to give you a rundown of this project. There was a lot of information sent out ahead of time. I hope you guys got the proposal. There's a website. There is an article in the Madisonian that you probably saw with a bunch of these kids interviewed. Just to give you a background of the project, we have a team of 25 local skateboarders, adults and kids, girls and boys. The girls are not here, but they're on the team. Parents, Superintendent Moretti and Ms. Newman have written letters of endorsements. We have a 97 signatures of kids in the school supporting this project. Our first hurdle was to present to the Lions Club, to 50 folks a couple weeks ago. They unanimously voted in favor of the building of a skate park and in the location that they have set aside for this. What else can I tell you? And they unanimously voted to approve it. Our next step in the process is to get your sign off. The boys are up here to answer any questions you have. I'm sure you have a bunch, but we answered hopefully a lot in the proposal that we sent. And this just came in on behalf, it was written and signed by the Lions Club just as an endorsement to the Ennis Town Council. This is from Corinna Christensen, who's an Ennis Lions Club member and the Montana Lions Vice District Governor. As a proud member of the Ennis Lions Club, I'm ready to express our strong support for the proposed skate park in our community. This project represents an exciting opportunity to provide a safe, accessible, and inclusive recreational space for our youth and families. A skate park will not only give young people a positive outlet for energy and creativity, but will also contribute to fostering a sense of community, physical activity, and outdoor enjoyment. Projects like this align with our commitment as Lions to serve and support initiatives that enrich the lives of all generations, particularly our future leaders, the youth. By investing in the skate park, the town of Ennis demonstrates its dedication to creating spaces where everyone can thrive, and we believe it will have a lasting impact on the vitality of our town. We stand ready to support this endeavor in any way that we can and encourage its approval. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration of this meaningful project. And I'm going to step away and these guys can introduce themselves, but I want you all to know that Montana, our great state, actually has more skate parks than any other state in the country. And there's a really awesome band that you know, Pearl Jam. Some of you might know Pearl Jam, that the boys will tell you about, that's kind of behind what's going on in the state with the sport. So I will step away and
hello everyone, I'm Atticus. I'm Kristen's son. And before I answer any of your questions, I'm going to answer one of your questions. You said earlier, after we've been talking all this meeting about all the problems in the town, but where are the options to bring something new, have something good? Where are the opportunities to bring something that the kids or anyone can have fun doing, or better themselves with? And skateboarding is one of those things. You can set goals for yourself and learn a lot of stuff about yourself and grit and determination through that sport. And with the whole Pearl Jam thing, the bassist of that band lives in Montana, and he funds nonprofit towns or like whatever people who go up to him and say, hey, we would like a skate park built in this like little town, and it could really improve the town. It could bring a lot of visitors, give the kids something to do, and he will go in and he will align with other companies to help design and build a skate park. So, yeah.
My name is Tegan Brown. I'm a skateboarder. I have been for like 8 months now. And yeah. Sorry. Personally, what I think skateboarding would bring to Ennis is just an opportunity for the kids that don't like have like a farming background or like aren't super into sports and still want to do something active and get off their phones and like do stuff with the community and socialize. Skateboarding is something that really helps with that. The way the community is built, it's just a very friendly and helpful community that really comes together and teaches lots of life lessons, like Atticus stated.
Where do you currently skate?
We currently skate. There's a spot near the gas station that is a little ledge spot that we skate. And there is that stretch of concrete right in front of the vending machine shack place that we skate.
Who did the awesome ollie off the curb, the barrier, about 2
Um,
weeks ago?
I do not know. Was that you?
Off the ollie on the curb at the Lions Club Park into the parking lot. It was well played.
Probably.
Nobody wants to admit to it. I'm like, oh, I saw that.
Are you ready for questions?
Yes, we
I
are.
just have a couple detailed questions that I didn't see in the proposal. So typically your skate parks have a lot of dips and curves, and will it be open during the winter?
Absolutely.
How will you keep the ice out of it?
If you look at the skate park in Bozeman, if you try to go skate there in the winter, there's ice, there's a bunch of like water and stuff, and it's during the winter you can't really skate.
Right.
So ways to avoid around that are drains and stuff. You can set those around, and also how you build the park.
Okay.
There are mainly two kind of styles to skateboarding. One is called transition, and that's mostly going like up and down ramps and stuff. And then the other kind of, I would say, new modern style is street skateboarding, which is basically mostly like flat ground and like hitting obstacles and stuff. So I think if you made it more street oriented, there wouldn't be a bunch of places for like snow and water and rain to pile up. So.
Right. Will it be enclosed? Will there be a single entrance to the area?
No, it's kind of an outside thing.
I mean, if you're gonna have a fence around it or no?
I do not know that.
Okay. I'm just wondering about nighttime, because you're right there next to a hotel.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about noise pollution, and whether or not hours will be set for the park.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on lighting, which is a question.
Yeah.
Well, lighting doesn't stop anybody around here, so.
Yeah. I think once we get down the path of the design and working with the town, we can establish rules, sundown, or I think those are all things.
Well, I believe it could be reasonable. I was just wondering if it was something that you've already thought about.
And as far as like maintenance goes on the whole project, I would say as long as you build it right, which I'm sure the Pearl Jam guy and all the other companies helping will do that justice. But if you build it right, that type of concrete won't deteriorate for a long time. Skateboarding is all about like hard slams, but there's literally maintenance. It's like you sweeping the leaves out.
I was gonna say, you're just gonna have leaf problems over there, yeah.
That's all us. No one has to be paid.
Well, we have to think long-term too, because you're not gonna be here. What grade are you in now?
I'm a freshman.
So you have 3 more years we can count on you to sweep the leaves?
Yeah, exactly. And the really cool thing about it is, I moved here and I started, skating around town with my friends and stuff. And then I started to notice, like, my friends' little siblings started to, like, hop on a skateboard or just kind of show interest in it. And that shows that, it's not just, oh, we're here and I want a skate park while I'm in high school. It's like this can really give kids a thing to do for a long time,
I appreciate that. Skate parks I have no problem with a skate park. It's just the details that we just have to address.
Yeah. And speaking about
I
that.
think it'd be great for the kids.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we have like tons of middle schoolers and even my little brother that's in 5th grade and his little brother, Cameron. They've showed interest in skateboarding since we started doing it. And that's something else about skateboarding. You see these guys doing cool tricks and just attempting stuff, and it's really inspirational to watch them. And it's just something for like the younger generation to show some like dedication to.
It's also healthy, as long as you don't fall and break a bone.
Yeah.
You're outside, you're exercising.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely helped during COVID.
Oh, sure. Hopefully that never happens again.
Hopefully.
Are there any questions from the room or online? Can you hear us online to ask a question? Okay.
I'll just add one thing that I know was in the proposal and that we've been talking about with the Lions Club, and I know was a concern of some, I think, John, maybe Tanya spoke to you, is that there is, in the section that they've granted us, there is a sewer line that goes through that would potentially need access at a certain point. So we have included in our project team are also Parker Redmond and Justin Edge, who were building the little pump track in the back. That is, they've agreed to consider that space as part of the buildable space for the skate park. So what we've all agreed to, including them, is to propose to build the skate park in the back in a wider top area of the triangle where that pump track currently is. And then potentially, there are a lot of designs across Montana where there is a pump track integrated into the design. We can use that kind of as a triangle shape, kind of integrate a pump track into that kind of more pointy part of the triangle, so that if there needs to be access for the sewer line in that land at any time, it's not going to disrupt anything. Nobody's going to be taking that concrete.
I was gonna say.
Oh, all right, sorry. Okay, I'm going to repeat this really quickly, but what we'll say is we know that in underneath a part of the land that the Lions Club has granted us for the skate park, that there is a sewer line. And we know that that has to be, we have to be mindful of that in the design. So our point was that we would build the skate park up towards the far end and the back where it's wider, so that as to allow access to that particular spot. So we'll get into that when we actually get to the part where we're working with probably Evergreen Skate Parks. That's who Montana Pool Service, the organization that we're going to work with. That's who they work with. But so those things would be addressed in the design.
And the distinct difference, just so everybody knows, is that the skate park is made out of concrete and the pump track is made out of dirt that can be moved and manipulated.
However, if we were to build the pump track,
We have to go to the mic.
however, if we were to build the pump track integrated with the skate park, then the pump track would also have to be concrete because you can't really skateboard on dirt, you know. So that would have to be addressed in the design, where we would have holes in the ground for easy access to the sewer, and other things like that. So.
That sounds very well thought out. Thank you.
So I have maybe more of a statement than a question, but I went to a training last October, and one of the statistics that they brought to the room was that kids spend 20% of their time in school. And then the rest of the time they need something to do. And this town lacks majorly in stuff for kids to do. And I think I made the comment to a Lion, the president of the Lions once. I was like, this park is so underutilized. And she was just like, what are you talking about? Like, this park gets used for all kinds of things, but that was not, my point was that it's just park space. There's
There's
really
a playground for the small children, but
yeah.
Yeah,
you guys have nowhere to do and nothing to do. Yeah.
I would definitely say that just having an activity to do is really nice. And a very frequent phone call between like one of my friends is, "Hey, what do you want to go do?" I don't know. There's nothing to do. So, yeah, it's definitely good to get us off our butts and off our phones.
Well, as my mom always told me, there's always something to clean. So there's always something to do.
Yeah.
It's just whether you want to do it or not.
So,
Leaves, for example.
Leave.
So which one of you individuals is going to be giving us the monthly update on progress?
I'll be here for the next 4 years, so.
I will also be here for the next 4 years. I'm a freshman, and I haven't missed a meeting. He hasn't either. We are very dedicated to this cause because we want to see this happen for us and for the future generation to have something to do. So either one of us.
All right. A couple
Any other
quick
questions?
I like what you're doing. We just got to make sure we do it right and cover the concerns. So the Lions Club is going to assume long-term management of the skate park. I mean, you guys are going to be gone in a few years off to college doing bigger and better things. And the Lions Club has agreed to assume the management and upkeep long-term of that skate park.
I think so.
And I mean, that park is owned by the town. And so once you build it, it becomes town property. Okay, you guys are aware of that.
Yeah.
And the only other thing that I worry about, that I've heard negative people have come to me and chatted with me about it, is that it will, some people have expressed concern that it will damage the atmosphere of the park. And I like the idea of a fence around it to kind of make a boundary so people walking their dog aren't disturbed. I mean, the park has had such a great reputation for people just to kind of go down there and wander around, walk their dog, and have some quiet time. How do you think we can manage that so everybody's happy?
First of all, I really think that if this does happen, if this project happens, I will be more than grateful enough to not raise my voice, and I will tell all my friends to do so. But yeah, I think we'll be on our A+ best behavior, and we will bestow that knowledge onto the younger ones too. And we
So it
will,
sounds like you need a code of conduct at the park.
yeah, actually,
Posted. Just
I've
like
been
they
to
do at
a-
the baseball park,
I've
no
been to a lot of
cursing,
it, yeah.
be kind.
Yeah, they have a lot of skate parks actually have like a sign where it's like Ennis skate park, and then there are the rules. You can if you have
Incorporate that in your plan.
yeah, if you have rules on a sign, and like the people there are obligated to follow them if they use the space. So
I like that.
And then
I
also,
still think a fence is the best thing. Not to keep people out or keep people in, but it also allows for when, if God forbid we ever need to tear it up for that to get to that sewer track, it can be shut off. The area can be shut off. Plus, we have a lot of wild animals around here, moose over there especially. So, and those guys are ornery. And if we can keep them out of your park,
yeah,
it's probably best.
Yeah, I would not want to get hit by a moose.
Yeah, I like the
Well,
idea of a
I
fence
don't
around.
want a young child going in there thinking the park is open, the park is free, and starts riding, and they go over a hill and come down, there's a moose. Then we've got a major problem.
yeah.
So.
I think that I would like to see some of the other parks that they've built, or some type of policies and procedures and other things that they've done in some of the other parks that they've built.
There are a bunch of photos from Evergreen skate parks on the website.
Okay.
Not sure about policies. I think most of that stuff is like we can't start it until we have approval, because we don't want to go to the companies and ask, hey, do you want to work with us, if we don't have 100% approval from what we need. So.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I've helped to build 2 skate parks in the past. I've built 3 youth centers with youth in the community. And when done right, they definitely serve a great purpose. Skateboarding is going no place. It will be here for a very long time. It has been here for a very long time. I think that a fence creates a parameter that is definitely needed. And the other thing is loud noise, that using Bluetooth speakers to blast, things like that need to be controlled. And the biggest thing that I have seen fail with skate parks is that people going to and coming from the skate park, that they're skateboarding in areas that they shouldn't be, and they're interfering with the flow of the public and become a nuisance. And that's when people's backs get up in the air and they don't particularly care for parks anymore.
Yeah. And about the noise, it is in like the very corner of the park. You would have to walk like around that area where that big like container is. And I've been to the park pretty much all summer. Lots of people don't walk back there. Obviously they do if they're like walking their dog. But the fence would also help contain the noise.
Yeah.
It would also help the dog walkers control their dogs because they can't get to you.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Dogs really hate skateboards.
Yes, they do.
So.
So I'm not seeing pictures on the website.
There was a one sheet also sent around, like a project one sheet that we gave to the Lions. I don't know if all of you got that email that has the website and a one sheet.
Should I go over there?
Yeah.
There's
I'm on the website right now. The 5 attachments are pictures of the.
So, one question,
There was another
if we gave you guys permission tonight, said, this is great, go forth, when are you guys skating? How long between now and when it's built?
Honestly, I've been to a bunch of the skateboard meetings where we were just organizing our stuff. I think with Evergreen skate parks, usually they've built some in around like less than a year, maybe closer to 6 months, I would say. I would say if you started it in the summer, you'd have it. I mean, starting in the summer is not a great idea. Let's say if you started it at the end of this winter, you'd have it by like mid and summer. So it wouldn't be too long of a process.
The issue is, you know, where we are, where we end up on the roster for Montana Pool Service. So our next step, if you were to say tonight, okay, we give you approval to start the project, the way that the project would work is these guys would reach out to Jeff Ament, who is the bassist of Pearl Jam, who runs this organization. We have his email address. We're just waiting. We reach out to him and we say, we're in the newspaper. We have a spot. We have, you know, a logo. We have all this together. We're ready to go. And my understanding is we are way ahead of the game in our organization than most other towns. So we reach out to them and they say, okay, yes, let's go. Here's our timing. So they're building probably 6 or 7 skate parks across Montana right now. And every day they have new towns asking them, right? So there's the question of like when they can get to us versus like how long it takes to build. So the reason we have a very speedy little team here is we have freshmen in high school who want to be able to use this before they graduate. So yeah.
I have a question for you. Who is, and this kind of comes to y'all and I guess her. Okay, so you said earlier the skate park will become part of the city's property.
Yes, the city owns that property.
Okay, all right, so the maintenance of this, the liability of this, but even where I was going to ask you, the water drainage or anything like that you're going to be changing for it. Has there been any preliminary plans of that? Has that been
No, we can't do that until we actually have approval from you. Because the design team has to be paid. They can't come in. All we need is approval to move forward.
With a concept drawing and plan, is that what you're meaning, or?
So we have to go to Montana Pool Service. This is the nonprofit run by Jeff Ament. He funds large portions of these. So he will say, yes, we'll take on the building of Ennis Skate Park. There are two design firms that they work with, DreamWorks out of Oregon, and Evergreen. I'm not sure if Evergreen's out of Colorado or out of Montana. They'll come in, they'll visit the site. we'll work with them to develop the design plan. That design plan will be presented to you guys and also to the Lions Club, and we'll say, this is what they're proposing, along with the code of conduct and the fence. It will be like a whole package like this. That's when you'll see designs. So we can't even get to that point until you guys say, yeah, we can do it. So we're jumping through the hoops right now just to get approval to use this space and to actually go have these conversations. The other thing, yeah, totally. So in terms of two other things, maintenance and liability, when we fundraise, we will hold a portion of money back for maintenance. That's one of our goals. So that there, if, 5 years down the road, there's something needs to be patched, there's money for that. Secondly, our understanding from all of our research on the town's insurance is that a skate park is covered. All we need to, at no extra cost, it is covered under the insurance for the park. All we have to do is go through the application and saying we're adding a skate park, and it's been designed by a certified skate park design company. So, yep, that's where we are. So it's not like nobody's going to hear from us and all of a sudden there's going to be a skate park. Like, the Lions Club and this committee is going to be very involved in the process. We just need approval to actually make that phone call and say, hey, we have a spot.
Yeah.
Can we get started?
Gotcha.
Yep.
Will it be built if you guys don't have help from them? Sorry, I asked if it would be built if you didn't have the funding from the other.
If they turn you down.
Yeah. Or do you guys have the money to proceed?
Well, we will be doing local fundraising as well. That's part of the requirement. But it will be really hard to build it. I can't see any reason. We're the only town that's ever produced a website. And to have a team of kids like this. If you go on the website, there are videos of the kids talking. Like, we've crossed all of our T's and dotted our I's to give us the best chance. So, yep.
Let's say that the builder goes under and out, who knows what, COVID happens, somebody dies, they get a divorce, something happens on that. Who's responsible for finishing the project? Well, it's just, that's just a valid question. If you were building a house and you were married to somebody and they died, and maybe you could no longer, then who's going to finish building the house? And then are we going to have to go into foreclosure and take it? And, it's just, just a question. That's all.
I would hope that all the funds get put into an escrow account and then so they will get allocated.
So we already have an account. Lions has already set up an account just for this because we already have donations coming in. People are writing checks already for this
And it's
project.
under the Lions Club.
Yes.
501.
501(c).
So then everything is covered between their insurance for their fundraising, and then included in your packet was all the information from MMIA when I contacted them as to the town's requirements for liability insurance.
And hopefully the Lions would actually step in
and finish it off, but that's just a good moral code, but
sure.
Go figure morals nowadays, So.
Do you have a price tag on this?
We don't, because we don't have a design.
But
Yeah, we don't because we don't have a design. They totally range. I would say there was one just built up in, what's the name of the town? Begins with a C. Chinook, similar size. And actually, Montana Pool Service paid for almost the whole thing. And I think the number I heard was about 150,000. Yeah.
Seems to be right.
Yeah.
And that goes to your point.
Yes.
It's a lot of money, right? And to not have that money in an escrow account and to actually have the ability to be able to complete the project could be a real burden to both the town and to the Lions and to your group.
One thing that I heard in a couple other skate parks that Jeff Ament has helped build and stuff, I think I heard this was his process. Don't take my word for it, but however much money we raise in like donations and stuff like that, he matches and yeah, and then doubles, and then in some cases, if that still doesn't get all the way to the budget, he takes the money out of his pocket and puts it in there. So I think from a personal standpoint, his thing is he just wants kids and people to have fun. And our town, we have like there's a 7-minute video of everyone interviewing each other, all the skateboard kids and stuff. So I mean, if I were him and I wanted kids to be happy, I would choose us as a number one candidate. So.
And no one disagrees with what you're saying. Everyone wants young people to have an opportunity to go out and have fun and to entertain themselves and not be on mobile phones like you said earlier. So don't get our conversation to be that we're not in favor. We just have to be responsible and make sure that we do it in a responsible way and that there's no harm to the community or to you or to anyone else by not checking all the boxes.
Yeah. Well, she's more of the facts person. I'm kind of the persuader.
You're the box checker.
You're the closer, right?
So since you haven't been approved yet, and I understand that you need a spot first, which we've all agreed that we don't have a problem assigning that spot for you. But as a council, we're going to need you to report back if indeed you do get accepted, and then we will undo this allowance if you do not make it.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make that clear because Jim made a good point. If you guys get halfway through it and something happens and it doesn't finish, then the town takes it back and we either close it down completely and dismantle it or make the decision whether we're going to go for it.
I don't think there is, I don't see necessarily how this project can go. I don't see how this project can go forward unless we are accepted.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a condition.
Okay.
So yeah, we wanted to make sure that the space was good, that we have permission to reach out and say, hey, we have this space, can we get the ball rolling? And then we can come back to you and report.
Sounds great.
Sure, I don't think that doesn't mean we can't put conditions on it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm.
Are you going to make a motion?
I want to make a motion.
Any
but-
other questions for the kids, or can they step down?
Thank you.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have code of conduct, potential for offense. I want to assemble.
Your thoughts?
And potential for offense.
How close is that property to the home run fence on that baseball field?
I
It's
don't know,
close.
it looks like about that far.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Is there a potential for a home run ball to go into that park in the summer?
There's potential to get
Yeah.
hit by a home run ball anytime they're
Well,
playing.
foul ball anywhere in the park you can get hit, but we're designating a spot that could be a potential. We're putting people where they're going to get endangered.
Where the batting cages used to be?
Yeah.
It's within reach. I think it's within reach.
Yeah. I'm not petitioning for a fence to be 12 feet high. What I'm thinking is a net to keep the balls from going into the park.
I don't know, if it's in the back where the track currently is.
That's true.
That's where we
That's
wanna
pretty
build
far
it.
away.
That's where we want to build it.
Well, it would be a foul
Yeah,
ball
home
all the
plate
way out
hitting
to
that
the
way.
left. I think, that's.
So you're in home run territory out there. I don't think anybody's hit one out that far.
I think the point is that you're going to make sure all these things are covered, right?
Yes.
You're going to anticipate all of the things that possibly could happen, and you're going to make sure that your plan addresses each and every one of those before you bring the plan to us.
Great.
That sound fair?
That's fair.
So the
So
third,
you're gonna bring the plan back to them to approve later?
Yes.
Yeah, we would have to.
After they get approval from the program they're trying to get into
so three,
and the funding.
what would we even call these? Not bullet
Conditions.
points, conditions, code of conduct be established. Potential for offense.
Can I go back to the code of conduct for a minute?
Yeah.
So that would be on the skateboard park and off the skateboard park, to me.
Yes. As he mentioned,
All right.
getting to and from the skateboard park is where you're going to interfere
Interfere
with
with-
other people that might cause problems. Yes.
And it's not that we don't trust you, but
Yeah.
you're not the only people that will be using the skateboard park, correct?
Yeah.
And we're probably looking at you to be the officers that keep everything under control.
And the role models out there, but
Exactly.
but there's always a bad apple in every bushel, so we have to plan for that.
Yeah, we completely understand your concern about that. We just need to be good role models and teach the younger generation not to mess around and respect what we worked hard to create.
Exactly.
If it happens.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Code of conduct be established on and off the skate park. Potential for offense. Monthly update from one of you young gentlemen or gentlewomen.
On your process,
On
where
your
you're at. Yes.
update. Any others you guys think we should throw?
Is it underneath your code of conduct, the hours of operation that this
That'd
is
be final approval
open?
with that.
I think
And
that's
stuff.
part of the code of conduct, right?
Yeah.
Noise.
So
all
what they
that.
can, what,
Well, and it has to meet
the
the
basics of what'll be
town
worn in
noise.
there, what'll, the hours are, the noise level. Who handles that if there is a problem?
And it's PD
EPD.
It has to match the town
code.
zone, the noise ordinance that we put in.
So if you start getting phone calls and, you know, it's too loud,
should make a
somebody's
motion.
got to be, so then the police goes over there, they talk to the kids or whoever's there, you know. Is there going to be a maximum amount of people in the skate park?
That's all gonna have to be for discussion later on.
Future?
When they're-
Depending
you
on
ain't got that-
how big it is.
Yeah,
I think this
when
is-
we start seeing the plans for that, we'll have to start asking those
Kind of questions, okay.
So I make a motion to approve the skate park with the following conditions. Code of conduct be established on and off the skate park. Number 2, potential for offense. And number 3, a monthly progress update from
You four.
a youth here at town hall in person.
I'm going to second that, and for the purpose of a question. Okay. So the question is that, are you going to have a physical body that basically controls this park? In other words, is there going to be a person who basically is chairing or managing the entire operation, and that there will be a protocol for passing that on to future bodies?
Absolutely. I will tell you that the new kids, like the little schoolers who are middle schoolers who are starting to get into skateboarding, they definitely look up to us and like take our advice. With skateboarding, like if someone asks you how to do a trick and you tell them, they'll respect you and they'll listen to you. So I think if all these little kids see us running around and we're nice to them and we respect them, they'll respect us and say, hey, these nice people gifted us this, or not gifted, but we got this amazing skate park. How about we treat it with some respect?
Well, I noticed on your website that you're basically promoting this as a type of club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as a club, you're
That goes-
going to
that goes to my
have,
point.
yeah.
Oh,
You're
do you
going
mean like
to
a
have a
designated?
certain kind
Vice
of-
president?
A hierarchy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you mean like designated? Like,
Yeah, like who's gonna answer to us if you have a
This is
problem?
this is the hierarchy spokesperson.
This is the hierarchy in motion right here. So, basically, I mean, I grew up skateboarding in New Jersey. That's where I'm from. And, you know, this is basically my skateboarding offspring, you know, these kids. So, I don't know what I have to say about that is, it's not necessarily an official club. It's not necessarily an official organization of people. But as long as there is a skate park, there is always I don't like to use the word posse, but for lack of a better word, there will always be regulars and people who represent the skate park in, said community. And, as long as we know who those people are after after our time with the skate park is, coming to an end, as long as we know who the regulars will be after we leave, then, there's never been an issue, in my experience from that.
Well, if I understand it, the Lions Club has agreed to maintain it
Yes, they
going
have.
forward.
Yeah.
What we're asking is that there be some form of representation
Yes.
from the youth group out that's heading this, that you're going to have a written code of conduct, but you're also going to enforce it somehow.
Yeah.
And report back any issues that you're seeing
Absolutely.
to this council.
Yeah.
So that we can stop anything that's rolling in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And like I said, there's always kind of a community at a skate park. There's always a regular community, and it even goes back to stuff like leaves and snow. And where I grew up, you would wake up on Saturday and you would go to the skate park in January, and you wouldn't know if it would be snow covered or anything. Sometimes you would get there and there would be some older guy that you knew, and he had shoveled the whole skate park so that everyone can kind of go skate again in the middle of winter. So I definitely think we should push for some kind of skateboarding club within the high school or middle school or something of the sort. And I definitely think whoever's involved with that and whoever is a regular at the skate park, maybe could run a social media account, be just a representative, like you said, in any way, shape, or form that you could imagine. Whether that means presenting issues to you guys or talking to the pool service. There's, as long as, like I said, as long as there is a skate park, there is a group of people. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much, about people representing the park.
As long as there's a designated representative that this town council
Yeah,
could go
yeah,
to.
like we
if there's
would
an
have a
issue.
president of the skateboarding club over there, or we would have like, a designated representative who runs the social media account, or, someone just.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
Someone
we could
that
definitely
can
have.
speak to and communicate with in the event.
You guys are
Yeah.
starting a great project, and I want it to succeed, and I want it to stay here forever, just like you do. But it won't stay here forever if no one's paying attention.
Exactly.
And if you look at that park, Lions Club does a great job trying to keep it up. But they get input from the town on what needs to go on there and what it needs to look like. Also, town members help the softball teams that play over there. They clean the dugouts. They do the park. They do the dirt on the infield. They line their own lines, foul lines. So they take an active part in taking care of the park as well. So we're just trying to keep that a community thing, that someone is keeping an eye on that park.
Yeah. Well, that would definitely be something that we could and should organize.
Yeah.
In the
because
future.
With concrete, and I appreciate, there's all types of concrete, they all crack. And as soon as you get a crack out there, then you've got a maintenance issue because someone's going to get hurt. So that needs to come back to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So those are the types of things that we're concerned about.
Yeah.
I fully anticipate that you four are in it and you want it bad enough that you're going to take care of it. But like, you've got 3 more years here, and either you're going to go off to college, or you're going to find a job, and odds are that you're going to leave Ennis. So we need you to start designating your followers and
Gotcha.
grooming them to take care of this.
All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, sounds like a good plan, and sounds like it shouldn't be too big of a deal to execute. So.
Yeah, and with Miss Newman and the superintendent being on board with that, we could arrange a meeting with her to start a skateboard club, because I know the art teacher wanted to start a chess club a while back, but he was too busy to do that. So the school is open to making new clubs. We just have to go forward and do that.
Great. That's good.
All right, motion second. Any other? Does Karina have any words before we make our final vote?
Hey, I've been traveling, so thanks for acknowledging me. Um, yeah, I think this group of students and parents have been doing a great job of organizing. I have been with my district governor position. I have been traveling all over the state, seeing the skateboards that Jeff Ament has been putting in place. To speak for the concrete, they are incredibly specific about the concrete that's used and the specifics of that. And there will be less cracking than other concrete because of how particular they are in that project. I heard one of the concerns was, are we going to get halfway through and not finish it up? Nope. Until the funds are there and everything is in place, it doesn't get started. Has been how it works in other communities. And the Lions and this group of kids are, and parents, we're all working together. I think we've got the same goals and it'll work great. I don't have any concerns personally.
Thank you.
All right, the motion and the second, are we ready to?
Call the question.
You were up first.
You're up.
I'm at first?
Yeah.
So we're voting?
Yes or no?
We're voting, okay. All right, I was paying attention to the TV and looking at all that, trying to see what all y'all saw. Okay, I think definitely let them go for it and get a proposal, and then we see what it looks like.
Aye.
All right, so the motion carries. If you need an official something on letterhead to send, I will be happy to provide that for you, that you are a go for the preliminary project stage and the architectural phase. And then as soon as you get that and they approve it, then we'll get our insurance squared away. And
I just want to congratulate you boys. You're very well versed and organized. Did a good job.
Yeah, well done.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's what's important, is it to have youth and have them active and wanting something too. That gets them off the phone and out of trouble too. So.
They're going back for homework.
I believe it.
Sorry
Finals
about
is next
that.
week. Finals is next week.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Have a great day.
You
All
too,
right.
thank you.
The conditional use is permit for 121 West Main Street. Did not make it all the way through its planning board meeting. So they have a continuation on Monday evening. So they do not have a recommendation for this council. Yes. Monday afternoon. I'm an early napper.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on Monday.
Which
So-
property is that? Is that the one above?
It's behind the town
It's the
pump.
Mercantile. The old Mercantile.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what are they wanting to do with that?
We'll get you the full packet to get you up
Okay.
to swing. The planning board holds the public hearings. Those are published in the paper. They have all their requirements, and then the council gets the staff report and the planning board's final recommendations for approval, however the council chooses. So we will have to reschedule that after the planning board has finalized its hearing. I don't know, if we have to do a motion, since it's on as a discussion and vote, if we do a motion to continue after planning board is whatever, but.
Yeah, we just do a motion to continue.
Yeah.
Please.
You
Is that
want
for
it
you?
on record as a motion?
There's a motion for continuation because
It's on the agenda.
it's on as a formal.
So that was from you?
Yes.
I'll second.
There's the second discussion. Good. And then we'll wait for their final. All right, it's you.
Aye.
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 Okay. So I sent you an email from the league. They recommend that we do a designation this round. And I don't know if that's just because they didn't get the response that they wanted last year, or last legislative session, or involvement. So they recommended actually putting spokesperson or spokespersons in charge and kind of being the head up. And if there's any hearings that we specifically want somebody at, that person's the designated spokesperson for Ennis at legislative session. And I thought that maybe it should be John White because he's already there a whole bunch. He's like, no.
I nominate John Wick.
Second.
All right, here's the deal. I'm really good there advocating for the tourism and outfitting industry because I know it backwards and forwards. So if we have stuff that comes up, I mean, we have to know this stuff backwards and forwards before we step foot on that capital, or else we're just spinning our wheels. So I'm happy to do it. I know a lot of the players up there and happy to testify on bills. I'm going to be up there a lot. But I am going to need some help with prep.
I would be more than happy to. The ones that I researched and dug in on the last one are the ones were the housing mostly. I know we need affordable housing. Is an accessory dwelling on every single lot allowed the solution, or is that going to just create an infrastructure nightmare in which you had no true solution as we are right now 26th and we need water? So those were the ones that I followed the closest.
And, I mean, there's going to be 1,600 bills pop up between now and the 7th of February.
Mm-hmm.
Going to have to get sorted through. Happy to do it. I just can't. I can go testify. To do it effectively, you need to be prepared, and I'm going to need some help with that. So, just being honest.
I respect honesty. I mean, you need to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. You know, I mean, that takes a lot to be able to say, hey, I'm not good at this and I need some help with something else, because, I mean, you know, ignorance is bliss.
I'm available if it's anything that's in my realm, that's for sure.
Yeah, more of the background, so when you're in front of people,
you've done all your research
Yeah.
so that you know what you're talking about.
And as I said, that's why I'm good at what I'm good at, because I know it forward, backwards, in my sleep, you know.
I think you're the well-spoken one that would be on there.
Yeah,
and then we can rely on our planner for some of those. Well, he will be on the floor, so maybe not.
Yeah. Happy to do it.
Yeah, you can practice speaking to me, like as if I'm in the audience.
That'll help you out for you. All right, so there's a nomination. Corey made the nomination. Is there a second?
I second.
Any other discussion? And it says spokesperson or person, so if you want to name two in case he's out on a different, like he's on the tour, there's ones that are hot to him at the moment.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, Jim.
Jim, would you have more availability to be up there as well?
I would.
Okay.
If needed.
Well, the first motion was for John Way. And there was a second for that. Shall we vote for that and then maybe a second?
Sure.
Vote for a second person to be on the floor if you're out.
Yep.
Okay. So, where was I? I think I'm actually at you for Mr.
Yes.
Way.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Gonna make.
I nominate Jim Nihon as a secondary for the spokesperson legislative session 2025.
I second.
Any discussion? Then we're good. I think you were.
Aye.
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 All right. The next item is the upcoming trainings, trying to figure out what we want and how you want it. So they're going to do another online training, like the one that I just finished up, starting at the end of February is what their projected from MSU is. So in that one, it is a 6-week course. It only costs $50 a person. And it's kind of as you have time to work it. So you're required to do X amount of reading each week. You are required to post a topic in your quorum that you have, and then you're required to respond, to engage in it, and then you're required to take a quiz by Tuesday at midnight every week. So that's one option, and we can do that. And it goes through the entire local government handbook, the 3rd edition. We could also have, the other option is to have in-house, since we have pretty much all new crew, and have Dan down, but then it's scheduling us and what day works the best for that.
I move for the in person with Dan.
In person's good with me, and I'm also very flexible on the time. So, I mean, any day.
Or you can do,
for
or
me.
I think it's affordable enough to do both. If you chose to do the other. Honestly, I've done both, and while I love in person, the amount of material covered and the variety that was covered, it wasn't 4 hours like we do with Dan. It was 6 weeks, and it was interaction with human resources. It was an interaction with clerks. It covered everything from Dan's typical roles and responsibilities of executive, judiciary, and legislative branches. That's typically all we get with a day with Dan. This went all the way through budgeting and finance to zoning, which we'll discuss here in a minute. It was a far more comprehensive look than I've had from the in class.
Is it a self-paced type thing that
Yeah.
you do? Is that what it is?
So
Online.
Sort of self-paced online, and then the quiz, make sure you didn't fall asleep during it. You did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Or just do both.
Yeah, do both.
Because I budgeted for a half a day of
The
Dan here.
in-person advantage is being able to ask questions
Mhm.
and getting an immediate response.
And Dan is like
Phenomenal at it.
He's absolute genius. You have to be him.
Well, I think both options.
Okay, a half day with
I'm-
MSU, so an afternoon.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm fine with it, so
Okay.
whatever you guys want.
I will look for a half day, and maybe we fill something else in the morning if we want, but because you had some other training options that were coming in as well. All right, and then I'll make sure that there's the budgeted amount for the $50 online too, because if you have the chance to do it, it kind of, like I slammed it, it finished up Thanksgiving week, so which was kind of a nightmare for me, but it was a very valuable $50. All right, I've already sent an email to MSU just to see their availability, and then as soon as I have that, I'll get it out to you. All right, Commission. Oh, and then I have the local government review. Brittany, did I lose you? Brittany, are you still there?
I am sorry, I had to find my phone.
All right, so on
I was walking
agenda,
around.
I still have local government review because you will have a new addition to your local government review team, and we did in fact budget for in-house training as well. Do we want to coordinate another training for the local government review committee? In which we probably would ask, like the other towns, since Twin Bridges is doing it in the county, have a county, reach out to the rest of the county and see if we want to host together.
Yeah.
We budget.
So sorry that I wasn't there in person this evening. Lisa and I both attended the training today in Bozeman, and I wasn't sure that I'd make it back, but they actually had an outline of various trainings that they're offering, any of the county or municipalities that are doing the local review, and one of them was an option for like a course training that they've put together. And I know Lisa and I just spoke briefly that we're very interested in that, but would definitely, an in-person training would be great too. And if we can collaborate with other towns and cities, that would be super beneficial, I think, for everybody. And then, one of the other things that they are offering too is to have them come down in a forum type situation and either present to the community itself or present in whatever fashion the local government review members want them to, kind of spread awareness and help the community come together and understand what this is actually doing and what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't know if those are one and the same or if they're separate, but the more training, the better, I think.
Perfect. We'll schedule, I'll get the specifics from you and Lisa on which one you'd like, and then reach out to the other mayors and see what the best schedule is and get an in-person here in the county if we host or whatever.
Okay, yeah, awesome. We can kind of go over some of the stuff that we were sent home with too tomorrow morning if you have a few minutes, and I'll bring that with me so we can discuss
Perfect.
those
Thank you.
options also. Yep, thank you.
All right, that one's taken care of. All right, commission reports.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. Back to what Brittany was just talking about, I think it'd be fantastic to get the community involved in this process, because I think it's, or at least give them the opportunity to be aware of what this whole government assessment is. It's a good thing. Yeah, I guess to speak to the MSEP, which is our ranking, but what does the acronym stand for?
Montana Coal Endowment Program.
Okay, this is a grant for infrastructure, basically, right? Or what was it for?
Correct.
Yeah, but regardless, we didn't rank very well on this, so
Got a lot of homework to do.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's finding other sources of funding, I think, is important. That's, I guess, a point that I'm trying to make right now.
We won't know until I'm still trying to figure out the exact number that was released. And depending on how much each project costs, there's been some years where they have funded all the projects. There's some years where they have funded, 75% of all the projects, and then 100% of the top 10. So we're just going to have to see what the exact, it's the emergency dispatch line.
What was the ranking?
We were 26
6 out of 33.
Yeah.
It's a ranking of need, basically.
And
Well, then that could be good.
this,
No, we're too low.
we're at the wrong.
We want to be number one.
Now, this ranking was done by the folks in Helena on the application that Great West put together for us, right?
Correct.
Just so I'm clear on.
This was the application submitted in May.
Yes.
And I believe this was the one where we barely made it because
No, that's the CDBG.
Okay, that was a different one. But regardless, this is just based solely off of need then, not off of like how affluent our community is or anything like that.
We're not needy enough.
And
that's not what it said.
If you look at most of the projects that rank top, they're actually wastewater projects. And the wastewater projects have the most benefit in sanitation. And I think that was the overall. And when that's one of your ranking points and you're in desperate need as.
It's a public health.
Yep. So we'll go through it, and I'll contact Great West and kind of go through with the ups and downs of it, and until we see what the total funding is. So we won't know the outcome of this until end of legislative session, when the committees actually vote, to see how much what. And in the meantime, we'll just we've been plugging away to all the grants that we can find. And if we have to, we'll just scale back the architectural plan and prioritize probably the well production first, and then, or the storage. Just pick one of them.
I think the storage has to
come first, because the tank's very in very sad
I don't know.
shape.
I'm not an expert, but
We'll have to go through that.
Has CDBG been released yet?
No.
So I went on, I spoke with, I guess, Justin Gatewood the other day, who's the mayor of the town of Virginia City, just about resort tax structure and whatever else, because the town of Virginia City, speaking to infrastructure, is a town of 92 people and services 500,000 visitors that come in. So they have to have wastewater treatment facility that can manage this for the tourists. I call it a tourist tax for that very reason. So this influx of individuals, you have to be able to accommodate them, and who better to pay for the processing of the affluent is the tourists, basically. So went on to discuss a little bit further, I guess, as far as boundaries. You know, the town of Ennis has, if you actually look at our map, it's relatively goofy shape, but everyone within the current city limits could uses city water and sewer. So those would be the individuals that would benefit from us having a resort tax. There are other options on that to actually create a resort area district, but it's kind of tricky. There's a method to go about it to facilitate this rectangular box that just incorporates these other individuals. But past arguments were made, you know, about like McAllister, for example, has a motel out there, and the owners of the motel wouldn't be paying a resort tax, so they could have a cheaper rate for the room. But ultimately, the individuals inside of our city limits are the ones that receive these benefits, and it's I guess ultimately it's just kind of a perk living within our city limits. I guess if that.
Did you happen to get any numbers off of Justin when you spoke with him? Like, they have 500,000 tourists. How much was their resort tax for annually?
They made $126,000 in their season is 120 days. And I put that, I actually should have brought the article in the paper. If you look in this week's Ask the Expert, I kind of went on to talk about West Yellowstone receiving $5.6 million. They're putting in a $38 million wastewater treatment facility, obviously state of the art. And they have, for what it's worth, West Yellowstone has the same number of water services as we have, very close, like within 40.
Well, I mean, for people to live in general, just for us to live, you've got to have clean water, you know, you've got to have clean air, you've got to have the resources to keep warm and, you know, food, things like that. But I mean, water is a necessity. And the townspeople, even though people may not, that people hear tax and they freak out, they think, oh gosh, it's going to cost me more. My experience with Virginia City is during that time period between Memorial Day to Labor Day, the people that come in, they don't have a lot of choice of other places that they're going to for whatever purpose it is that they're getting. So they're not price shopping, you know, they're not running down to the big box store to get what they're wanting to. And I'm not saying trying to price gouge anything, because you don't want to do that either. And you want to be a good steward of, you know, and a good friend, and you want people to come back and all those kind of things. But it is a fine line of that. But that tax, just out of my personal experience that I've noticed, and I've asked my son about this and daughter-in-law, and we haven't noticed that anyone has been hesitant or complained or anything about that resort tax, which is what, a 4% tax or something like that?
It could be 1 to 3.
Okay.
And then you can make it 4 for infrastructure.
So, because a lot of the people are from out of the country, they are from, you know, you get people from Canada, from different countries that come over. You get people, of course, from the East Coast and things like that, tourists. But a lot of people don't look at the darn price of it. Now, if you go to the grocery store and you look at a dozen eggs and they've changed the price, you notice that. But if you go into your regular store to get whatever done, let's say you go to get your hair done, your beautician charges $5 extra. You're not going to remember that probably, or even notice it, or think anything about it. I think it's just scary to people if they don't know, and that's with anything. So if people don't know what, when you say the word tax, it freaks them out. So
Well,
we have to look at it, do our due diligence, see what.
As Jim mentioned when we were talking to you, there's a lot of people that live here that are on a fixed income.
Yes.
And we cannot ask them to keep up with the infrastructure, the way the growth demands it.
It's not fair. I grew up, my mother and father worked in the shoe factory. My father grew tobacco before that. The house that I was raised in, they paid $10,000 for it. I am used to it's very modest, accommodations and in life, and have family that go from, fixed incomes or disabilities, and all those things have affected my family. I have a very large family. So I understand what that is. I'm not at that point in that place in my life right now. I'm still able to work, but I understand what it's like. I had two parents that were, my mother was 38, my dad was 40 when I was born, so they were older. And I know what it's like, and both of them passed away from cancer, and my dad was disabled for many years due to cancer. So I know how hard it can be for people. And I think you have to look at that and say, do you put it over onto the tourists that come in that don't see you every day? I mean, I know you get a lot of people that come back from year to year.
There are more differences in every town that has a resort tax than there are similarities on how it's all set up. Items that are taxed, no, we're not going to tax eggs. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there right now. No, I don't. You get to pick and choose and establish. So ultimately, I think it's just we've allocated $2,500, and this is why I'm bringing this up. So we've allocated $2,500 for an educational campaign in our budget. So I have, with the help of Karen Ketchu, the librarian, created a brochure that I need to get out to all you guys so you can, we've had it for a while now. So you can actually look at this and be like, well, maybe you need to put this in there additionally or whatever. We need to tear it apart and take a peek at it because we are spending potentially public funds on this educational campaign. And the mayor asked me the other day, she's like, what's happening? What are you doing with this? I'm like, you need to get a committee together. So I have Bob Bailey is a resident here in town. He's volunteered to be on the committee, and I'd gladly take any other volunteers that might consider being on this committee and getting this information out. It's been tried 3 times in this community, and when DEQ does release their wastewater treatment standards, it does not allow us to dump into the Madison River any longer. Who is going to pay for that $38 million water treatment facility? Well, guess what? The homeowners are, or the tourists could pay for it. That's my soapbox for that. We had a tree board meeting. I asked Eric if we had a water truck because we're contemplating like tree ownership within the community, and first and foremost because we're doing our growth policy. So and if none of us here have like looked at the master plan is, I said it earlier, is basically according to, the state made a law that it's like, the term master plan is synonymous with growth policy, which is synonymous with comprehensive plan. Those 3 things are essentially kind of the same thing. I might not be explaining that completely accurately, but so basically, this is going to be a working document. It should all be achievable items that we're all trying to accomplish here in town, and that's why I challenge all the department heads to come up with stuff, their boots on the ground, like what doesn't work here in our town, and what can we do to improve the efficiency of our town. You know, all the small towns in Montana have been having issues. We're not the only one that has problems. So I think this is a serious opportunity for us to have an engineering firm come in and write up a a plan. Like, hey, how do we accomplish this? A flow chart that once you reach an impasse, you have to go back and talk to somebody else and redo what you didn't do right the first time, and be professional problem solvers so we don't have any problems anymore in town. Right? Is that a possibility?
Good luck on that one.
Seriously, Susie. What else? So one of our budgetary items that we had talked about, it was a budgetary cut, was the this front area where there's asphalt just completely crumbling into pieces, kind of a little parking area out there, and I threw out potential for future tree locations out there to kind of beautify town hall a little bit.
Didn't this guy on the tree board tell me that those ones are almost at their end of life?
These ones right here.
Mm-hmm.
I might have misspoke on that. I talked with my mother about it, and she said sometimes they just have dead limbs. Okay. I don't know that they're at their end of life yet, but that would be a tree inventory item, which is also Bob Bailey wants to be on the tree board, which will have to potentially put that on the future agenda to nominate him.
Are they certified arborists on the board? Or?
No.
Just to give you a what if, okay, in the town that I was raised, my kids in and lived in, North Georgia, when Zig Miller, he was the governor, he came in there and put the highway through, and they put these beautiful Bradford pears all through town. But the Bradford pears eventually, that they should have had a plan that eventually those trees are going to get it into their life and they're going to need to come up, and what are we going to put back in them? And then everybody, complains and fusses because you cut them down or whatever. So, you've got to, so I know what you're going with, I think, on that, and where you're thinking the trees that are going to work for the area, the less amount of water, more water, whatever the soil will provide, ones that will aesthetically blend in with all the others. I think the town had a problem similar over here in the North 40 where they landscaped that, but it didn't take, and so now they got to come back in and redo it. And
the water line got cut. Is what happened.
Things happen.
There's no water
and stuff. So I think I know where Jim was going with that as far as an arborist, and just making sure that the right suitable trees are for the area. Yeah.
Well, the growth pattern. I'll tell you that when I was the town manager, I literally had to have a Coosa dogwood moved because it was in a park that was donated to the town, and the person who donated to the town said that the tree could never be allowed to die but for natural reasons. We paid $30,000 to move the tree, and we had to put a life insurance policy on the tree. Okay, so I'm just putting out there that you need to be responsible as to how things grow, where they can grow, geological patterns in the ground.
Said, the root system, that's asphalt.
So
everything.
I asked about an arborist for a
There's
reason.
the water line, everywhere.
Yep, and that's part of doing this growth policy, we're putting plans in place, achievable plans, whether it's coming up with a tree inventory or, where we're going to plant trees in the future. Or to my next point, so Conley Park, we've allocated how many dollars to do the wood chips?
4,500. Is that in the?
3,500?
I think it's 45.
I thought it was 5,000.
45,
5,000.
45, 5,000, somewhere right in there. And
Yeah.
it's going to do the Conley Park wood chips and also the fisherman's triangle.
There's wood chips there?
Yeah, it's rock right now,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's all weed. That's the weed mat. We weed mat that so it doesn't look ucky. Bad. So that was our estimate for those two spots.
Okay. So I wanted to, Nicole Bailey lives right next door and I'm ratting on her right now, but to Conley Park. And I feel like so we have this architectural rendering of that park that we paid $5,000 for, and we haven't moved forward with that at all. And I just feel like this park doesn't get used. And I think putting in new chips there is just going to be.
I think it's a waste of money to put in new chips for a swing set. I mean, that's all that's there is a swing and a teeter-totter, which I have heard several complaints and seen it on Facebook that it needs if the park had better equipment, you would see more kids there. I mean, it's on the way home from school for a lot of kids. So you would see more kids there if the equipment was updated. I think putting in wood chips and a new weed mat is not going to entice any child to go in there. I mean, all there is a swing.
At this point, though, like I would have to say you have to do some amount of maintenance. The thistles in it are ridiculous, and we are responsible for that. And if we ask everybody else to take care of their weeds, and then we have a thistle patch, it's part of maintenance. It's something that we need to have is an allowance for maintenance in all the parks. If we don't use it for that, you use it for something else. But as it is, until there's a better plan that's actually implemented, there's a lot of ways you could improve that park. If you look at the one in Butte, I've said it, I don't know, for 3 years now. Most of that park was paid for by the mines from Butte. They need community service
There's
projects.
a lot of creative ways of getting money.
Yes.
So if you have a
just have
$5,000
to know
picture,
who to ask
then we
and
just
where
need
to
to go
ask
ask
and
for
how to
somebody to
ask.
fill it.
And
You
I
know,
think we need to do some of that.
let's get the mulch down if we need to, and get to cap it down.
But that's like I think that's a whole. What do you want to do with it? But if you've got the plan, it would be good. You're probably the only one
And
that's seen the plan.
that's why I'm saying we're doing our master plan. I don't think we're going to dig that mulch out right now, or are we? It's probably frozen.
It's probably frozen in.
Yeah. So I'm just saying potentially we can discuss it. There will be a parks discussion on this.
Well, there's already been discussion on Facebook, how to raise funds to help the town get that done. Did we go to the churches? Did we go to the Lions Club and ask? I mean, like she said, there's plenty of ways to fundraise. It's not a necessity that we, spend all the money from our budget to do it. We just ask for help.
Sure. Yeah, I guess just back to this growth policy, I think having this engineering firm, whomever we choose, to draw something up that is foolproof, that we
need
get
that for our budgeting process. I mean, if we're gonna set goals in a master plan, we need to know what the master plan is and the goals are, and you have to budget toward those goals, and make sure that you prioritize that over other little things that, we might be able to get help from the community from. I mean, there's people that just call for help to clean the side of the road, the 287 going out of town. It's like, come get all the trash out of the barbed wire along the road. And you get dozens of volunteers out there to do that.
But a growth plan has to be a very comprehensive plan about the town and the future of the town and the growth and the parks. And it's really pulling everything under one umbrella and making it so that it's done in a very responsible way. And look, we all know that we put plans out there and we don't follow our plans completely, or there are things that offset us from our plans because other emergencies and things come up. And that's why you have to have a growth plan, just like a master plan, that has the ability to have adjustments in it at a 3-year period, a 5-year period, and you have the ability to make sure that you can not necessarily meet all of the goals that you set out to do, but you set the ones that are the most important to keep the town on a healthy track.
All right, what do you got next? What do you got?
Yeah, so I also spoke with Lady Carol DeLisi, and she teaches classes for communities. She writes grants for them. It receives this money so she can actually come in and teach critical communication. The first time I met her was through Sheridan had a subdivision being proposed, and the town was just everybody was butting heads, and nobody was getting along. So they called Carol DeLisi to come in and be a moderator for the community. And I just think she's a pretty cool resource. I don't think we typically have historically spent all of our money to do trainings for all of the council members or people here that work for the town. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm asking her if we could potentially pay her directly. And I'll get some more information about the contents of the class, but it's, like I said, I was pretty impressed with her, but definitely having Dan come and speak to us, I think is a fantastic idea. I think he's great. And also our on-call planner, we've had him come, Forrest Mandeville, come and speak and do a training before, and he's incredibly passionate about government. So that's all I have.
Mrs. Abernathy.
I don't have much. I have the library board meeting tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And that's about all from me.
I've attended 3 planning board meetings, the growth plan, and 2 actual planning board meetings. And I think that there's a group there that is very grounded and committed to moving forward with everything that we need to be successful. And I think that we have a lot on our plate, but we look forward to the opportunity, especially with the growth plan, to be able to make all of that happen. We are interviewing the 2 proposers next Monday and Tuesday, and we'll be coming back to the board with a recommendation from there. And I really look forward to the process. The other thing is we may or may not meet before Christmas, so I want to wish everyone in town and everyone here Merry Christmas, and thank you very much. Welcome, Stephanie. And thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wade.
Yeah, all my free time has been going towards preparing for this next legislative session that's coming up, figuring out who the players are and where they are and all that. Question on this MCEP, individual priority scores. This is already in bill form. It says House Bill 11, but who assigns these scores to each town exactly?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because
so you want me to ask this
subjective, and subjective leaves wiggle room.
Okay, so I will contact There,
I
Craig,
was
he
just
does all
wondering
the,
how these scores came about. And if you look at it, we're at 3115. We only go up, all we need is 400 to get in the top 10.
I know.
How do we steal 400 and put them in there,
Question.
Yeah, but why?
It's
It's
like
subjective.
in all of our.
Yeah, they're
our
arbitrary
hardest part
numbers.
was-
Yeah, number one's 500. Where's
very,
that come
it's
from?
very subjective.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at our scoring financial need, so is that in comparison to
That's what
Harrison's sewer
Yeah.
district that?
Are people a lot poorer than us, or are they? Yeah,
Twin is up there number, what?
I know.
3? Yeah.
Number 1 or 2. Yeah.
I think it was 3, but I'm not.
They're 3 in Harrison's wastewater.
So, yeah, I would like to
'Kay.
understand this better if somebody could point me in the right direction.
I will do some digging with, I'm sure, Craig Erickson, since he's been with Great West and gone
Yeah.
through all the grants, he's going to be able to answer that question. So I'll pose it to him and see. Like, why do you think we got number 1 for financial need? Is that based against other people, or is it?
Yeah, would there be a way I could have a conversation with them, just chat with them about this stuff? Because
I'll see who there's going to know the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't make subjectivity doesn't make sense to me.
Or if they have scoring sheets in
Yeah.
each of those categories that do it. Okay.
All right.
So legislation starts for you when?
What is it? I'm in front of the legislative planning committee Tuesday.
Okay. So you and I will be meeting with Mr. Guzan.
Yeah, so I won't be able to make that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tuesday.
Oh, you start early. I
Yeah.
thought it started January something. So
Yeah,
you're
well,
going to
most
start.
of- yeah,
You have a pregame.
I do, and they told me I have to wear a tie. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. Don't
I
do
hate
it.
those things.
I refuse.
All right. You're up if you have a, well, it's usually when we report on what we've been working on or where we're at.
So I can't really think of anything, unless you want my mother's maiden name or my underwear color kind of thing,
All right.
Just, get started and, we'll make a go of this.
Well, welcome
I
to
believe that y'all are capable people, and I think I'm a capable person, and we can handle this.
Could I put you down for the resort tax committee?
I will be more than, I would be more than glad to talk with you about it, because like I said, I'm not set in stone on anything. It's really what people want and what the community wants. I mean, what the people that actually are your bosses are telling you that they want, so.
I think you should get your list
every
together and
avenue.
do an official agenda item. I think there's different forms of community committees. It was, I know there was. It was in a chapter that I kind of remember reading. There's differences in community committees, so kind of get some names together and some appointment ready, and I think we should put something together. I'll look at the committee structure.
Cool.
Will it be an ad hoc committee, Corey? It will be, right?
What's that mean?
Ad hoc, it's gonna be outside the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. As long as we don't have 3 commissioners on it.
Yeah.
So
We can't have
I
a
think that might.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
My report. So as of when the agenda went out, we needed one more person for the local government review. And then on Tuesday afternoon, Kelly Elser submitted a letter of interest. So
Great.
that's awesome. I couldn't put him on the agenda for an official vote. So I would like to do that sooner rather than later, but you're out of town all next week, and the other 2 times that town hall is available, there's also planning board meetings.
Just to vote for Kelly?
Yes.
That can be super quick online, everybody, yeah?
True. So I could do a Thursday evening and just say
You can,
Kelly Elser appointed to local
well, if
government
we're
review.
doing it like 6, I'll be back. I should be back by then. I'll drive really fast.
Okay, so I will do that. Don't drive really fast. You can pull over and just say, like, I know that's the person that is
I
submitted
should
and,
be.
okay,
We don't have a big agenda that day, so I should be back.
all right. Because that was I know there's a lot of trainings coming up and then get that team synced in and ready to go. And moving out on things is going to make it harder.
Are you gonna, throw them together and flock shoot them with the planning board stuff for the mercantile? That was supposed to be on the agenda for today.
We'll see how that meeting
The
goes.
planning board didn't finish.
Oh, but they meet
Monday.
We
Tuesday.
will have it completed on Monday.
Oh,
We're just, Susie's collecting some information for us and we should have everything by then.
And in the future, I'd like to not put them in the same month because I do not think it's appropriate to have a Tuesday night planning board meeting with their recommendations supposed to be to us or to you for review
on Thursday.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's a time crunch.
So,
what are you gonna
so
do
there
instead?
should always be a week out
I agree
or
with that
a month.
100%.
It's hard to do this time of year though.
It is. I was not planning on it. We've never had, in the last 3 years, we've not done a second December meeting because it's December. But look at us. We're just doing it December 19th. I know. She just made that face at me. Okay, I finalized the information to the Department of Commerce for the SLIPA grant. So that's all the contact information, the remaining document, missing boxes that they wanted. So that's been out for 2 weeks now. I'm kind of expecting it to shuffle its way to Ed here pretty soon. I thought it'd be in, honestly, in time for this meeting, but it's not. So as soon as that one comes, you'll see another Department of Commerce contract. But all that stuff is done. We did interview for the second officer position. We offered that candidate the position. He has turned in his initial paperwork, which is more than the last one. So we've gotten the entire packet back, done our initial review. Now it goes to Arden, and then you have to do a final physical and psych eval. So if all that goes into place, we're thinking maybe first week in January. We should have another.
And has this officer already been to the police school?
They are post-certified, so we do not have to go through trying to get a spot.
Yeah.
So hopefully that plays out better than the last time. Let's see where else. So I initiated the conversation with Valley Garden for the storage tank. So that's in its at least infancy for the land acquisition, and I'll keep you updated as to how that goes. We already went over the infrastructure scoring.
Did you bring a bunch of kids with you when you went to ask them?
Oh, I should.
Wow.
Look at you.
So-
So the next is I received kind of an interesting phone call, and I don't know where to go with it. There was an old international truck that somebody really wants to give the town. Corey, you were probably the only one that remembers that As Seen in the Patriot.
Oh yeah, that guy used to live across the street from me.
Yeah.
So they want to get, he's passed away, his son has it, he wants to give it to the town.
Nice.
Sweet.
What are we gonna do with it?
We're gonna be in the parade.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been in the parade like 20 times.
Okay, everybody says really cool.
Remember, there's
It's an-
maintenance and everything that goes with an antique vehicle. So, at first blush, it says, wow, this is a great opportunity, but we need to be practical about the money that we can afford to spend to basically maintain, and where are we going to park it, and all of the big questions that go with that. We're going to have to make cuts from other things in town in order to have a nice antique truck that was in the Patriot. And I watched the Patriot a couple weeks ago, so I got it.
I would like to approach the chamber. I think it would be a great chamber piece where they host all the parades and everything else. So if this person is amiable to having it, but they very much want it to stay in Ennis.
So they could use something else.
There you go.
So I'll reach out to those ones because I didn't want to say no immediately, but my initial thought was I know how old trucks are. You have to drive them just the right amount, and they're, and especially a 1950 something International, is not just anybody works on it.
Freezing clutches, freezing brakes, just.
It's a really cool piece, but I think it's a lot of maintenance. And then storage, because we can't just leave it outside.
Thank you.
So I'll contact him, and well, first I'll contact the others and see if there's somebody interested in helping him out, because he really wants it to stay in the valley, and that's amazing. So I finished the MSU course. Ta-da! You get 2 hours of certificates for each section. I will also probably have Brenna do it in the spring for sure. It's budgeted in hers, and besides just going. She's like, yeah, she's like, I know. Because it had an insane amount of information that would be perfect. Again, highly recommend. So in that reading and learning, one of my highlights that's leading me into the next point is we have a zoning board of adjustments in our town code.
Sure do.
A zoning board of adjustments is not the same as a zoning board.
Correct.
Montana code requires that you have a zoning board. Yay. But remember, in the last session, they said you could.
Yeah.
So I would like to task Ed with, because I've sent it out on listserv. I figured by now somebody had to have combined them.
Yeah.
And I have not received any emails back from any other towns saying, yeah, we put this resolution together. Here's our ordinance, da, 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 so that I could copy and paste and have something to present to you. So I'd like to, because now that I know that they're different, pose it to Mr. Guza and have him start to combine those things, because I really, it will save us on emails. It'll make us compliant with the state. And where we struggle to have all of our volunteer seats filled, I think it smalls it down into one doable thing.
And that's a simple resolution, I think. I don't think it's a.
You got to cut a lot of things from the book
Mm-hmm.
and redefine. The resolution should be fairly simple, but going through and actually picking what needs deleted and replaced is going to be a little bit different because it's scattered. Our boards are scattered in our zoning, and
Doesn't the state code actually give some guidance on that? I thought that it did.
I don't know. I have to look it up.
I believe it does.
well, it says what each board is responsible for.
Correct. And then I believe it gives parameters as to the level of enforcement and other things. I'll look at it tonight and I'll just shoot you an email, okay?
Okay. But I think that's one we should tackle and get done.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Because we could. Because before last year it was.
Yeah, you had to have to.
You had to have it, but now it's optional to combine for the lower ones. The bigger towns had to combine. And I don't know why. Because it doesn't make sense because you have a larger pool of people to pull from. But that's the case. So I think that needs to be the priority since we're not compliant. And then do we still need a zoning board of adjustments, or because that's hard to fill, or are variances only reviewed by the council? Do we get rid of a zoning board of adjustments? And their variances are reviewed by the council, and then if you don't like it, you can go to the district judge. So that's where your next step is.
You don't have enough people to do what you need now. Correct? I mean, is that correct? I mean, you don't have enough people that are really.
I think we can.
Complain to be able to get out and do the work.
I think we can
So it's
streamline
always
it.
the same group of people that does the work anyway. It always is that way. So in this case, you're just saying that you've got like a subcommittee underneath another one. So if you're going to look into it, and if either one of them are not party to answering to the other one, or that it's not of a conflict, you're going to put them together to simplify it, so that the same people can make the decisions on it, pass it, make it cleaner, just easier, simplify it.
Yes. All right.
There's quite a bit of guidance in the state code.
It's time to combine those. Be done with
Yeah,
it.
Goose needs to probably take a look at it first.
Okay. Arrange the IT visit, have our meeting with Guza. So when we did our final adoption of floodplain last month on the 14th, we kind of were against that deadline. So technically FEMA hadn't looked at it yet. So FEMA has completed their review. They had minor changes, but nothing that would require us to go back through the public hearing. So Kevin is finalized all the recommendations, all the fixes. So now we can send it to the codifiers, but it officially goes into effect 2 days from now.
The changes that FEMA has, we don't have to reapprove it or anything.
They were just appendix pieces.
They're insignificant and immaterial or whatever the criterias are there. Great.
So that is almost wrapped up. Once it goes to codifiers, then I can officially say checked off the list. But until I get that done, then it's not. All right. Montana Department of Labor and Industry conducted facility inspections, and they do it kind of by department. So we did have serious hazard violations that they identified. Serious hazard violations. One of them has already been corrected. We did not have an exit sign above our exit door. So you see our new addition there. So, and then the other serious one was we had 2 screws missing from a panel in here. So that is also been corrected, but now we've got another report that says we are missing some other exit signs. So those are in ordered and on their way. Down at the library, the room was too crowded to have good access. So we're working on that to the electrical panel. Those were our serious hazard violations. So those have all been corrected or are in the process of correcting. The non-serious hazards I'm going to look at those next and figure out, it's like, do you do an evaluation on ergonomics with your desk clerks, things of that nature. So that'll be the next portion that I look at. See. So there's that. So some violations, we're already on our hot track to fix all of them. So back in September when we were kind of in chaos, there was this start of Big Sky Rail Authority. And so if anybody's interested and wants to jump back into that, originally I thought they were looking at railway just through the High Line. It looks like it's maybe going somewhere near Bozeman.
Yep, sure.
So I can send any of you the information if you want to jump into the Big Sky Rail Authorities.
I was on the call they had a couple weeks ago just to listen to it because transportation is my life. So
look at you. I was like, oh. So there's that. Next training session for me will be the last weekend in February. Executive session is just the mayors and managers. And when legislation is in session, we always do it in Helena. And I see the league has also posted a day for small town legislation, I think. So check your emails for that, for a day and a hosting that they're doing that as well. So if there's anything we really need to know, that's my window there. I will definitely be there. That is all I have.
Where are we with auditor?
That's the other thing. Never mind. That's on here too.
Okay.
So I should have that contract should be ready too. So I think that was the last of it. I know there's more actually. I felt like the 3 contracts, so the Jody, the SLIPA, and the auditor. I thought they'd be there, but they're not. And we may end up with the proposal. I don't know if we have to do a contract or they do a recommendation. We'll see that because I'm sure we'll have a contract for the growth policy as well.
So sorry, back to the auditor. We're going to see that in January.
Mm-hmm.
But don't they have to go to work in January?
Our audit usually isn't until March. It's not ideal. What else? I think that's it for the highlights. Out of town next Monday. That's it.
So you're saying you're not having office hours next Monday?
No, I have
Okay.
a neurosurgeon appointment
Yeah.
for next Monday. I'm in the morning, so if you need something, holler at me. So the 19th, if planning board stuff goes well, we'll do Kelly and the, okay. Our regular time?
6 or 6:50, whatever.
What?
I don't have to be here. The planning board makes the recommendation.
Okay. So we'll do that one. And if any contracts magically float in before then, I can throw them in there. Okay?
If you have an office supply company that provides furnishing and machines and all of that, if you need a free ergonomics report, they might actually do one for you. They might do an ergonomics assessment.
There you go.
Just so you know, it won't cost you any money. They'll just come in and give you a full
We'll just
assessment.
buy chairs from them.
I had it in the budget. They were cut from the budget, so you get really hard chairs.
We bring our own.
Alright.
You buy some good ones at the dump, you know, we can bring some.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I.
Were there 3 seconds?
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Do you remember me from the other?
Yeah. You were in my store, not Christmas Eve, Christmas stroll, yeah.
I didn't have anything really. Okay, good. All right, so I at least did that. I thought I did some sort of. I had my week has been crazy. I've had to take charge of everything at my company. Oh. Mandy's checked out for a minute, so.
Well, Florida's kind of like Ennis. They all went down that way, got in Florida, then they hit about halfway back, and then that's how we got back. Mine gets more pinky and rednecky the more I'm around the same people here from the south. We all get together. It's exactly really yeah.
I hate
nice to meet you.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah. So,
Excellent. Now that we've got all our seats filled, what's your name? Sean? Corey.
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe John.
Good. Do you care that you're in the dark? That's my dad's nice joke.
They did. It was very cool. It was fun. It was real slow. I was busy. My default to make it. It was good. They enjoy talking to you. Oh, I enjoy when I'm with you. You too. Freedom. I think I must be at least at dinner ready for them. I see friends. Oh, sure. You're here.
No, I think he'd be watching NFR.
It might be there. They might have had it on. They were looking for the rodeo man. But it could have been his twin brother. He doesn't know. You're not on. See whether he had a black ball. He had a curly mustache. No, but it's okay for their own.
Do it by phone. Yeah, yeah, if I'm running late, I'll just.
Well, that's okay.
Should be. Oh. I'm sitting there going.
It's a candy drawer.
And my husband, like, blowing up. Can I get out of this now? Yes.
You need to stay here until 10.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We brought that.